Hello. Hi, guys. Oh my goodness, my camera. Hold on. It's a little shiny. It's a little blurry over here. There we go. Yeah, I guess it's still a little blurry. Hold on. Let me get this going. Let me get it going. How are we now? Pretty good. We're pretty good. My bad on that one. How are you? Hi. Oh my goodness. I wanted to get on and do some readings today, but I'm in such a chill energy. I'm such a how do I it's grounded, yes, but this full moon in Cancer is very, very I'm intrigued, interested. I also feel hi to you too. Hi. Yeah, I feel so and it started yesterday. Like I was out yesterday. It's been kind of hard for me to read the energies to be honest. I was out yesterday and doing my normal thing out in the world. And Cancer, of course, rules the fourth house, which is our home space, being at home. So I was out in the world yesterday. And all of a sudden, I was like, no, I need to go home. I need to be at home. I need to be home. I don't know why, but I need to be home. So I came back and I was like, okay, because recently, Spirit, before we get into the cards, let's break it down. Hi to you too. Yeah, Spirit recently has been kind of like calling me to different things, or like I just am following the callings again, which I haven't really done in a long time. It's been more like I've had to get up and start things, but recently Spirit has been bringing me things to kind of follow through with or be with. So yesterday I was like, okay, well, I don't feel like I need to be out of the house anymore, so let me go home. Let me go home. Let me sit at home. Let me be at home. If I need to be home, let me be home. And I can feel the mothers near me and like the mother energy and the mothers around and the mother's ground. And interestingly enough, there was a reading I did. It's come up in several readings actually on my live streams where the mothers are grounding and it's surround sound. That's kind of started. Hi to you too. It's kind of started. Hey, kind of started for me. Like it's more the mother's grounding, more surround sound. This moon also, one of the things that came through on the podcast for this previous week, which if you're signed up for the blog, I just sent out the podcast for the upcoming week. So that information's there if you are looking for it or interested in it. But in the previous week, this moon was like a reverent death. It's like we sit and we're still and we just give reverence to everything that death has asked of us, everything that death has asked us to do, everything that death has required of you, sitting and giving reverence to that, and then giving reverence to the death that has been. Part of this for me has been like the dead version of me, or like the version of me that I had to move on from and no longer be. And that's been a very, very hard, also interesting. Whereas we got Sleepy Boy with us today. Also, I hope your kids feel better. I hope your kids feel better. I'm gonna miss your content on here. Yo, listen, I put it up here. I don't know if you can see it on your side, but there's more content. More content. If you go to my website. So yeah, just a heads up. But yeah, that's been a. Where was I going with that? The mother's coming through. Grounding is surround sound. That's been a theme. Thematics. Grounding, surround sound. That's where I was going. The podcast. Yes, interesting that it's like a reverent death. For me, it's been revering what I've had to let go of. There's a lot that death has asked me to do. And I'm realizing over the previous several days what it has really offered to me, what it has really afforded to me. It may not be things that I have here right now, but it's the possibility or the opportunity or the order and structure that now exists in my life to bring things into fruition that I actually really want. But to be able to want those things, to be able to desire those things, I had to have certain forms of death so that what I want can actually be true for me. Not something that's bound up how it doesn't need to be, not something that's, how do I say? It had a lot to do for me personally with my ancestry, which it made for you as well, because with Pluto out of Capricorn, Pluto and Capricorn together was like the ancestral systems that bound us up that we didn't really have, like inheritances that we didn't really have a say in. And so that's part of the death work that's been required of us over the previous like 16 years that this moon is kind of asking us to give reverence to. And I was also thinking about this moon on a personal level last night and like getting more in tune with the energy. I was thinking about it and I was like, the full moon for me always, and the full moon in Cancer specifically, it always kind of turns things in a new direction. There's always some kind of clarity that I receive because I have a moon in Cancer. So for me, and the moon rules Cancer. Cancer is ruled by the moon. So for me, whenever this moon comes through, it's always this big kind of moment where I'm like, oh, that's the information I needed, or that's what I was waiting to receive and understand. And so now I can leave. Now I can move on and go into this new thing. And when we get into next week, so this is going to be on this upcoming week's podcast if you're looking for more of that information. But when we get into this next week, it's going to be, we have a moon in Leo, we have a moon in Virgo. The moon in Leo is ruled by a sun in Capricorn. The sun in Capricorn is ruled by Saturn in Pisces. Okay. Then we have a moon in Virgo ruled by a Mercury in Capricorn. Capricorn again ruled by a Saturn in Pisces. And this whole entire week, we're leading up to January 19th, which is going to be a Saturn conjunct Venus in Pisces. So we have a moon ruled by that Saturn in Pisces, another moon ruled by that Saturn in Pisces, and then we have the conjunction and Aquarius season starts. So we move into another Saturn season. Crazy. So there's about to be a lot of like get up shifts, lots of lifts. Also, Venus is receiving, so lots of gifts, spiritual gifts. I have a really high pitched ringing in my ear right now. Really, it's like it's more than just a ringing. It's not like a, when you hit a bell or like you hit something and it rings like that. Not like that. It's more just a, energy that's around. Thanks for being here. So we have that coming through this next week. That's like what, 7 days from now? And one of the things too that came up in that podcast was accolades. People are going to have, I think this was in a recent reading I did online. I know so much Pisces for real, Yeah. And I was thinking about, let me track it back. Hold on. When we get into, I'm glad to catch you live. Good to be here. Oh my goodness. When we're moving into the Reverend Mothers, let's get into some cards. You know what? Because when I get into the moon energy of Cancer, my brain sometimes doesn't work all the way. You know what I mean? Even waking up today, I was like, I'm slow moving. And I thought it was interesting too. This is the first time that it's really like stormed. It's been raining for almost 24 hours or 12 hours, between 12 and 24. It's been a while. And I live down south where the hurricanes like come through. And there was a hurricane either on the new moon in Cancer or around the new moon in Cancer. And I remember thinking like, this is a new moon. This is a new, when the hurricane was coming through, this is a new moon. If this is being woven into the new moon in Cancer, then there's going to be some kind of revealing of that hurricane energy when we get to the full moon. Interesting. A seed we cannot see, a crossing something benevolently, a seed that we cannot see. It looks like to me, it's like there's a seed in a pocket. It's like someone had a seed, put it in a pocket. That's something I've been saying recently. Put it in the clock it, lock it, put it in your pocket. Okay, now we're gonna walk it. Like keep it, find the information, find what it is, keep it to yourself, lock it up so no one else can get it, protect it, and then we're moving on and moving forward. I've been saying that for a couple months now. This kind of reminds me of that. It's like a seed, something that you need, but you can't see it. It's not necessarily a sown seed. Maybe it is, but it's just a seed. It's like this idea or this wonder, this understanding, this something speculative also. It's like speculations. Maybe this is true. It's like I see the seed in front of a person and a person being like, well, maybe this is a true seed. Maybe this is actually a real, I wonder what the seed would grow into if I planted it. And then put it in the pocket and keep walking with it. I wonder what the seed would turn into if I planted it. Let's pick that up. So it's like wondering. It's like a seed you can see the seed, but you don't know. Harvest grounding. Harvest grounding, harvest surrounding. Harvest grounding, harvest surrounding. There's more cards for that one. Harvest grounding, harvest surrounding. Something we cannot see. The death. What is a birth reversed? Going back to the seed. Oh my gosh. Why did I not think about that until it was said? It was spoken. What? We're just talking about the seeds? That's crazy. Seed work is crazy, dude. Seed work is a crazy, crazy work. So we have a harvest grounding. What is the reverse of birth? It's going back to the seed. It's going back to it's the origin work. It's going back to the seed, going back to the origination, going back to the origin. So why do we need to know about the origin? Harvesting the origin? Well, that's true. Any seed that gets planted, when it grows, anything you harvest from it is going to have the origin in it. Okay. Thank you. What else do we need to know about this? A union. Talk about it. A union. Origin. The origins of, you know what? That's true. Hold on. There's a card that really grounded. It really grounded. It really said, down here. It really said, oh, hello. Let me not push the table like that. Goodness gracious. Goodness gracious. Interesting. Good to see you too. Good to see you too. Hey, also nobody's asked about my NFTs in a long time. They're on OpenSea. They're on OpenSea. You can message me about them if you want to. They're up on bid. Yeah, nobody's asked me about those in a while. Cool. You want to buy one? You want to invest in one? Sweet. Sweet. A crossing on the ground that you can't see? My golly. My golly. My golly. You know what? I am going to tell that story. It feels important to tell that story. So I'm going to tell you a story. It's story time. I'm going to tell you a story. It's story time. So the crossing that grounded, it's the deck that I'm using right now is my Rune deck, the runes. And the crossing is Gebo. Gebo, for a reference of pictures, is Gebo. So Gebo is it translates as the gift or a gift or gift, but with studying like the fates and the runes and the crossings, it literally is a crossing. And crossings are, how do I say, it's like a neutral thing. I say luck is neutral sometimes. It's a neutrality. There's a neutralness to it. It's like, what are you going to do with it? How have you been walking here? You got to this crossing for a reason. The other person or the other entity or being that is also crossing you, like making offerings as a form of crossing. And then when those offerings are returned to you, also a crossing. This is also a card of like fates, the crossings of fates, meeting people at the right time at the right place, or being at the wrong time at the wrong place. That's what I mean. Like it's kind of neutral and it is how you interact with it. Also, one of the things that I write about this on the blog occasionally, but it feels important to mention it now is like how you walk. How you walk is how fate meets you. So, because I do a lot of fate work and a lot of crossing work, a lot of binding work in that sense. And so how you walk is how fate meets you. If you're walking, that's true. Thank you for coming through. If you're walking and you're talking in love and you're discovering and you're looking at the truth and you're understanding things, you're doing things in a certain form and in a certain fashion, in a certain way. That's how fate looks at that and is like, okay, well, you're going to do that on a consistent basis. Are you going to keep walking like that? Are you going to keep talking like that? Is that really who you are? Is that who you want to be? Is that how you're going to meet me? Is that how you're going to meet me? Okay, fate, love you. So then fate sees that, and fate kind of, can set up the picture wherever in the future for a fate that is going to be a reciprocal crossing to cross you with that. So we have a crossing grounding. Also, this was flipped upside down. Interesting. Whoa, I never thought about these cards like that, but I'm going to talk about it like that because I feel like it's necessary. This is the back of these cards, okay? It's the compasses with two of them. It's the compasses. I call this one, it's like the same in every direction, the trickster compass. The trickster compass. This is knowing every direction that you need. This is like knowing where you are. Know exactly where you are every time, every place. This one is the trickster compass. I can hold it up here on TikTok, sorry. Yeah, trickster compass, and then knowing where you are every time and every place. That's how I embrace those. There's probably other practice ways to sit with them, but that's how I sit with them. Normally, when you look at the back of a tarot card, well, at least that's how I read it. Like there's other cards I read with too. When I do that, it's like, okay, well, I can't see the message. But what if the message is to just navigate? What if because it's a compass. Am I right? Am I right? Or am I right? It's a compass. So navigation. And the compass is such an interesting tool. Let's talk about that for a moment. The compass is such an interesting tool because the compass, yeah, okay. The compass is like we still have a choice of where we're gonna go and how we're gonna navigate. You can't see him over here, but he just laid his head down. It was really cute. We still have a choice of how we're gonna navigate and how we're gonna get there. Compasses are real interesting because they don't tell you where to go, they just tell you where you are. They tell you what direction you could go in, what direction is which. They don't tell you which way to go. That's something that the internal compass does. That's something that you can tell yourself or, chat amongst yourselves if there's other people involved. Where are we going? How are we getting there? So there's a crossing. This crossing that's grounded, 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 grounded. 'Tis grounded. You've been talking, of course, if you're navigating the fates, if you're navigating the fates in a specific way, if you're saying, yeah, I'm going to go in this direction. Yeah, I'm going to go in this direction. Every single time you say, yeah, I'm going to go in that direction. I'm going to go in that direction. I'm going to go in that direction. Of course, fate is going to cross you with someone who's navigating in that direction. That is literally what happens when this card comes through. I'm so grateful that this came out. So good. This one is Ewas, okay? It's Ewas. You can see it's like an M looking thing, okay, right? And I don't know if you can tell in the picture, but it's where two rivers come together. It looks kind of like a pond on the screen, but it's where two rivers come together. And it is representative of union, because think about like two rivers coming together, two rivers coming together. Beautiful, right? It's a union, is what happens. The water is unionizing together. Thank you, water. I love you, water. I love you, water. So with the crossing, if you have a river, think about this for a second. The rivers go to the ocean, right? Let's go to the ocean. Let's go to the ocean. But how the river gets to the ocean is going to depend upon what the river is. So, how you have been as a person, as a river through time, as you have been navigation, as you have been choosing your direction, how am I going to get there? How am I going to the ocean? How am I going to the ocean? How am I going to the ocean? Is it devotion? Is it faith? Is it understanding? Is it fear? There's so many different directions that you could go in. Okay. How are you getting there though? How are you getting there? How are you going into that ocean? The ocean being the destination, the place that you want. What I feel in this too is like, where are you returning to love? Where are you returning to love, and how are you returning to love? What is the navigation direction that has you on a personal level returning to love? Of course, there's going to be a crossing around you where not a tossing. This is not like a coin toss, like when you toss a coin and it's like could go either direction. No, not that. This is a crossing. Crossing is intentional. Crossing is something that usually cannot be avoided. Crossing is something that usually cannot be avoided. It's like, okay, it's on your path for a reason and you're going to have to sit with it. You can't, if it's been crossed, that's the thing about fate. That's it can be frustrating or it can be benevolent. Whatever it is that you really like choose to interpret from that. Sometimes things get bound up a long time ago. Sometimes things take years to meet you in the physical where you are. So if you bound up something from years ago, and you've been walking towards it in a certain direction, say you did a spell work or you asked for a creation, you asked for something to come into your life, you asked for this crossing a business, crossing a personal, however, there's a lot of different ways that this could be interpreted, okay? A lot of different ways. Sometimes that's what fate is. Sometimes we're bound to it and we don't realize it. Sometimes we're bound to it and we have no idea. Sometimes we're bound to it and we're going to cross it no matter what. So with this union being involved, there's a harvest that's grounding. Going back to an origin, this is an origin prior to a union. Interesting. That was the story I was going to tell. Do I need to tell that story? I feel like for some reason I need to tell that story. So I'm going to tell that story. I don't know exactly what is going to come out of it, but it's come into my head twice. I said I was going to tell it and then I went in another direction. So I'm going to tell it. So there was a point in my life, actually, where this rune deck, that's interesting, where the pictures of this rune deck, where they come from. I was walking around this place and this space, and I would go on a lot of like divination walks at the time. I would walk around, I would talk to the spirits, I would ground my heart, I would ground myself, I would listen to kind of the messages that were around. I would sit and I would listen, but I would walk and I would listen. I would walk and I would talk. Is what I called it, walk and talk. So there'd be a lot of like divination messages or prophecy messages that would come through. And on the way back up to where I was living at the time, there was a bird on the ground, just gone. No explanation. No explanation. There was just a bird that was gone. And I just stood there for a while because I'm someone who reveres death. So I stood there for a while and I was like, okay, talking about reverent death of the full moon. And sat with the bird, and I was like, what do I do? What do I do? Like, because at the time, Spirit had me walking through a lot of like death rituals. And so there was sometimes, interesting, there's sometimes I would be at like come across something of death and be asked to do work or asked to do. But this time I was like, there's nothing to do. There is nothing to do. This is a moment where there's nothing to do and I need to pick up and I need to move on. Okay, interesting. So I did. I started walking back up into like it was this big hill back up to where I was living at. So I started walking back up the hill. And right when I started walking back up the hill, I looked up in the sky and there was a vulture like really, really close. It is one of like the vultures that is in this card. You can't, there's like a little speck. You see little dot up there, little bird. You see little speck, little dot, little bird up there. It wasn't that exact time, but that at the time when I was seeing the vultures in the sky, they kept telling me about the crossings. That's the reason I put it on this card. So I look up in the sky and there's a vulture. So I was like, okay, well, there's this death. There's this bird that symbolizes death coming through. And then all of a sudden there's this vulture in the sky. And I remember when that happened, it's like, you're going to receive everything you asked for. Everything you asked for. So I just stood there kind of in awe for a second because I was like, I don't really understand even what I did ask for. I'm not really sure exactly what that even means, but okay, I'll listen, I'll hear it, I'll revere it. So I stood there and I watched and I listened, and then I was ready to keep walking again. So I was ready to keep walking again and I kept walking. And then that sort of like divination started to play out in my life. I ended up going through another chapter of death, and there was a friend that I lost, like very unexpectedly, no explanation. And now, recently, in the previous months, that was probably like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, is when all of that happened, that story, and then losing my friend. And recently, interesting. And recently, they've been telling me, yeah, you're going to receive everything you asked for and more. Everything you asked for and more. And normally, when the spirits give me messages, it's like I sit with the message for months and months and months and months and months, and then eventually it makes sense. They're like, you sit with it. It's not going to make sense for months. You learn it, hear it, revere it, okay, and then it's grounding somewhere in the future. So just listen. A lot of the times, that's how those messages work for me, at least right now, because my gifts kind of shift and change throughout time. But right now, that's what I'm sitting with. So it's interesting that we have this crossing, okay? A crossing, not a coin tossing. This is not a maybe. This is a definitely. This is a definitely. This is a yeah, I've already made the decision. Some kind of origin, going back to an origin, which for me, I understand what this is. Going back to an origin, an origination. Because fate, the thing about fate is that you can't cross fate if there hasn't already been an origin of an activation. Sometimes in our practices, this is ancestral, where we cross ancestral fates, where it's before us. The origination is before us. Sometimes those can be tough, sometimes they're good luck. It really just depends on who you are, where you come from, and if you agree with the luck that you've inherited or not. True. So sometimes they're ancestral. Sometimes the crossings are from, if you're someone who works specifically with the fates and the magic of crossings and weavings, then a lot of the times you'll like start something and it's 222 on the clock. I don't ever clock time like that. It's 222 on the clock. Okay, shout out for the twos. Uh, interesting. Interesting. But if you're working or origin magic, origination magic, because there's a period of time, it was around that same time, the story I told you about the death, and then this like looking up and seeing I'll receive everything I need. There was around that time, what was the other one? They had me working through going back to the origins because I was at the time kind of like flushing a lot of relationships out of my life. I just realized that they weren't sown or grown on stable foundations or stable origins, the origination. What was the seed? Because when we cross people, that is a seed. How do you cross them? What is the first moment of interaction? Why are you crossing them? How did you cross them? Because that crossing turns into something bigger later on. It becomes expanded. That's really Jupiter magic. That's really Jupiter magic. If you're looking at astrology, that's Jupiter magic. We're in a Jupiter retrograde right now. So that's asking us to go back to the origins of things. So there was a crossing. Interesting. It's like going back to the origination of some kind of union. It's like harvesting the wisdom of that origin. That's what it really feels like. It's like going back because anything that's grown from that relationship then is going to be harvested in the same way that it was crossed. Same way that it was crossed. So if you're looking and you're wondering about the relationships around you right now and you're feeling a little lost, how is the origin crossed and what has grown out of that relationship because of that crossing? Interesting. Interesting, interesting, interesting. Interesting. Is there a reason that this is coming out? Is there anything else? Let me pull the actual fate cards. Hold on. Let me get my other deck out. Let me get my other deck because it feels specific enough for me to need to do this. Hold on. Gotta get some shifts going. Gotta get some shifts going. What else do we need to see about that? The Empress and the Wands Queen. The Empress and the Wands Queen. Okay, so there is a younger version because interesting. The Wands Queen, if she develops enough, can become the Empress. The Empress is technically the origin in number of major arcana, though. But then if you're looking at the different suits, you can't have the major arcana without the different suits. So it's like, which one came first, the chicken or the egg? That's kind of how I feel about this. Which one came first? Was it you previous in time who was asking for something? Was it you previous in time who did a spell work? Was it you previous in time? Did they come first? Or was it you in the future? Because isn't that what dark matter is? It's like something in the future that moves backwards in time. Isn't that literally what? Isn't that if it's not, somebody, let me know. But I'm pretty sure. So it's like, which one came first? Which one came first? Was it you then, or was it you in the future? I think about this all the time. Was it you in the future being like, hey, I need you to do this. I need you to do this past me so I can have this thing up here. I need you to do this so I can have this. That's up here. If you don't do that, I can't. That's why recently, when I said I've been returning to spirit callings recently, that's part of the reason I've been going back to spirit callings. I didn't sit with spirit callings. Let's talk about that for a second. I didn't sit with spirit callings for a little bit of time in my life because they were having me move through the tricksters. And sometimes when the tricksters call you into something, you need to tell them to shut the fuck up, go away. I'm not playing your games. So for a while, my call was to just tell the spirits to F off a little bit. Love ya. Grateful for the lesson. Grateful we've moved on. So that's when I say I am back in, answering the callings again. That's a part of the reason. So I just want to make that very clear on a personal level. Why not? What? For me, okay. But returning to those callings, because every single time, oh, thanks, Callie. Oh, shout out, Callie. I hope you're doing good. Haven't seen you in a while. I hope you're doing real good. Yeah, that's true. Where was I going with that? Bring it back so the answering the spirit callings, because sometimes I just know things. I've been saying that for months now. Sometimes I just know things. There's two times I'm gonna tell these stories. There's other times outside of this, but I'm gonna tell a couple stories of raffles. There's a couple times where there's been a raffle. Once when I was a kid, thanks. Once when I was a kid, and then once when I was still a kid, but I was an older kid. I was like an adult child. I was probably 19. So like I was a kid in the world, but I wasn't like a child. I would like not a tiny child. Okay. So both times though, there was something in a raffle that I was like, I know I'm gonna win that. I know I'm gonna win it. It's mine for sure. And both times I won. One of them is a poster hanging up in my house, and I keep it around just to remind myself. Sometimes I just know things. And so recently I've been staring at the poster. It's hanging up over here. I've been staring at the poster, and I just keep saying to myself, sometimes I just know things. I don't know yet what I know in regard to this. I'm not really sure, to be honest with you. Hey, thank you. I'm not really sure, to be honest with you. I just know sometimes I know things. And sometimes we just know things. Another story. Okay, so this is like the innate magic of knowing. There was one time when we were a kid. I don't know why it's important to tell these stories, but you know what? Maybe other people need to see it so that you can, clock it for yourself in your own stories if this is how you walk in the world. There's one time when I was a kid, and when I like a 3 or 4 years old, 4 or 5 years old, like young baby in the world. And my parents would let me have my bedroom window open as long as I promised to shut it and lock it. That was the deal. I could have it open, but I had to shut it and I had to lock it. That was like my responsibility. They were like, you can have this thing, but you gotta be responsible. Okay, I can do that. So I did it every time, except for this one time. I shut the window and I was like, I don't need to lock it. Little young me, 4 years old, 5 years old. I don't need to lock it. So I didn't lock it. We leave the house, we go out. This is like before cell phones. We go out into the world. We come back. My dad's at work. My mom, I don't know what she did with the keys, but she locked us out of the house. So she goes over to the neighbor to get his help. And I was like, little younger me was like, I know I shouldn't have left the window open, but I did it for a reason. So I'm going to tell her. I know I'm probably going to get in trouble, but like, we can't get into the house without this. So I told her, and we got into the house. They lifted up the window and they pushed me in. And so I went and opened the front door. Sometimes I just know things. That's what I mean. Sometimes I just know things. I knew I needed to do that. I couldn't have explained it to you, but I knew at that time that's what I needed to do. With Pluto and Aquarius, it's a lot about the knowings. What do you know you need to do? I feel like I'm going to need to sit and reflect on this later on a personal level. Interesting. What is it that you know that you need to do? How do you know that you need to be moving right now? Because that is a lot of where the power of Pluto and Aquarius is setting in. And interesting, this week is about to be really weird. We're going to step away from the full moon for just a second because that's kind of where this message is going. This week is going to be very strange. It's going to be very different. We're headed up into Venus is in Pisces right now. We're about to have a Saturn and Venus conjunction on the 19th. Very serious crossing. It's a crossing. The planets are crossing. Okay. is about to be a very serious crossing. That's not the whole entire message of this card, if you've been sitting here long enough to have seen this on the screen several minutes ago, but that's not the entire message. But it's still a crossing. You know, Venus and Saturn are going to be crossing in Pisces. Very serious. Saturn in Pisces is divination, prophecy. Get your spiritual stuff in order, transition. We have to be diligent about the transitions that we're in. And because of the transitions that we're in, we can earn a seat of power or earn more power, also by learning to protect ourselves. So that's Saturn in Pisces. Venus in Pisces, we have a lot of this like Venusian giving and receiving, and it's also very spiritual. We're also giving and receiving so that we can be in transition. This is a great time of transition. The North Node also moves into Pisces very soon, before the end of the month is over, or before the month of January is over. So like, what is it? Less than a couple weeks, I'm pretty sure it's the 28th. So very soon that's going to happen. Then we start to have a lot of like crossings of the North Node and Pisces stuff in the next couple of months. And it's just a lot of like, get up, lift up, get up, get up energy. Get up, get up, get up. When I was doing my special episode for the podcast for the first part of 2025's astrology, oh my gosh, this was one of the things that came through. And it was like this mother figure, this mother spirit coming in and being like, get up, get up, get up. You got to get up. You got to get up. You have to get up. Not that there's anything like holding us down or not, but it's like a mom coming into the room and being like, kid, we got stuff to do. I have errands to run. This is supposed to be fun. This is supposed to be a fun day, but you got to get up. If you don't get up, we can't go have fun. We can't go have fun. We can't go to the mall. We can't go get mani-pedis. We can't go do all the fun stuff that a mom and a kid would do. We can't go do that if you don't get up. So you got to get up. So that's like February, March time is like, we got to get up because the rest of the year we're supposed to be doing, fun stuff, but we got to get up. 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 So with Saturn, because Venus goes back into Pisces during its retrograde. So just a heads up on that. So Saturn, let's check that. Does Venus retrograde is going to reconjunct Saturn in Pisces. Interesting. On April 7th. Whoa. That's going to be really weird because that conjunction, holy cow. I'm really interested to see what happens. What the heck? Because then too, Venus goes direct on the day that the full moon is in Libra. Oh, wow. We need to break that down. Hold on. Because because Venus is going to be conjunct with Saturn in the middle of a Libra moon. It's the third quarter moon in Libra. It's the final moon in Libra before we get to the North Node being in Pisces and the South Node being in Virgo. So this is like a power-packed, what have you done for the previous year and a half that has really what have you been offered because of the justice, the Libra work that you've been doing for the previous year and a half? Might not be justice, the balancing of the scales, healing the feminine, especially with the Venus retrograde we had. It's like right before, right after. I can't remember the exact timing. But that Venus retrograde around the time that the South Node went into Libra, super duper difficult. Super difficult time for the feminine, super difficult time for the giving and the receiving in the mirror. And it kind of was to set us up. That was like 2023, would have been around September 2023 is when that retrograde was. So just for reference of timing. That retrograde of Venus was to help us see kind of like, what is it that we need to be working on? Thanks, Callie. What is it that we need to be working on over the next year and a half that we just, for whatever reason, haven't seen? So it was kind of, for me on a personal level, was really horrible. It was one of the most horrible times that I had in a while. And I've seen a lot of like dark stuff in the previous several years. So it was like a really hard hitting moment. And since then, again, I'll talk on a personal level. I've been doing the work to kind of restructure things in my life so that I don't have to go through and experience something like those couple of experiences, one very specifically that I had back then. So since we're about to go through another Venus retrograde, we're kind of coming to a close with that chapter of the South Node in Libra at this time. We're coming to the close of the Venus direct energy at this time. So it's like the reaping of the rewards, talking about the harvest grounding. Thank you, bringing it back. Talking about the harvest grounding. So Saturn and it's like a very specific, one of the things that came through in this week's podcast is accolades. It's like, you didn't realize, the metaphor that I got for this is like, you didn't realize that you graduated valedictorian. You didn't realize you graduated valedictorian or like top of the class, but you're about to find out. You're about to find out. This Venus Saturn conjunction, you're about to find out. You didn't know. It's like, but it's also like, what I see from this is like the teachers, whoever the teachers are in your life, or like the teachers in your practice, the spirits that teach you, the teachers that are around you, and the physical human too. It's like, you didn't know you were already this skilled. You didn't know that. Like, you didn't know you graduated with honors. You didn't know that you graduated top of your class. Like, do you see how hard you work? Do you see how good of a student? Like, clearly, obviously, that's somebody, in my opinion, who's like either not self-aware or really humble, or maybe both. It's kind of both together. It's like you're not self-aware to keep yourself humble, not self-aware of how maybe other people would view you. That's kind of a protective thing too. That's real interesting. So it's like you graduate with honors, but you didn't realize you were going to be graduating with honors, but you're graduating with honors. You're graduating top of the class. And so there's about to be honors that come through with that as well. Something about that is going to come up post eclipse season. April 7th is when Venus retrograde is conjunct Pisces. And then in conjunct Saturn in Pisces. And then we have Venus direct in Pisces, okay, where both of those conjunctions with Saturn happen during a full moon in Libra. That's crazy. If anything, something to keep in mind with Saturn is it's very, in Pisces specifically, it's very prophetic. It's very, 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 it's a big weight to carry, prophetic. So if there's anything that happens, the knowing of things, there's anything that happens during that, what is it, the 19th and the 20th, during that time frame, and we're kind of leading up to it all week this week. So just have the awareness of things that are kind of patterning. That's Saturn, things that are patterning and ordering, and it repeats, and you're like, maybe this is important. It probably is. Make note of those different patterns. Another thing to pay attention to as well with Pisces is we don't always have the direct, like, prophecy. Sometimes prophecies are like, things will happen like this on this date, and it's very like direct and specific like that. This is not always going to be that energy with Saturn and Pisces and Venus and Pisces. What's happening with this? It is going to be equal in the like synonymous energy. It's going to be equal even if the symbols change. It could be like maybe there's something to do with like I don't know, a ladybug, and you know that ladybugs for you mean something, and then that translates into something else later on, kind of thing. So it might not be exactly direct. I hope that made sense. It might not be exactly direct, but it'll be something that can be interpreted even if it's not going to be exactly direct. Also with Pluto and Aquarius, interesting. I feel like this might be the final thing, and then we can move on to another message. I kind of want to get back to this Empress and the Wands Queen for a second, but one of the things with Pluto and Aquarius is the way that we interpret the messages is also how it gets bound up. So if you see a ladybug and you're like, oh, hey, that's good luck, you've just bound up something of good luck. But if you see a ladybug and you're like, ew, gross, then you have just bound up something of ew, gross. So paying attention to those kind of like patterns of how are you repeatedly responding to things is also important, because you can change how you respond. You can change how you respond. Big self-development era. Not that we haven't already been through one, but yes, as a part of it. I want to get back to the Wands Queen and the Empress, because it's like the Wands Queen asked for something. This creator, because again, it's like what came first, the chicken or the egg? What came first? Ridiculous, dude. Ridiculous. What came first, the chicken or the egg? Was it you in future time who asked you in younger time to do something so that you in future time could have what they needed to do? Okay. Or was it younger you who had a dream and said, I'll become that person? Probably both. Something about this Empress. What do we have with the Empress? It's like a solid foundation, but the future isn't always so clear. The Empress is an interesting card, because for these, I'm going to talk a little bit about the fate weaving again. How do I say? In Norse, because that's what I have the Rune deck out. Okay, there's a lot of fundamentals in my practice that are Norse, Nordic in that space. So just for reference, the Knot of Weird, this one, okay, here on that side too. The Knot of Weird, this is kind of like the bindings of fate. For me, this also represents the well of fate. Urðarbrunner. That's the like direct pronunciation. Fate's well is the more English translation to that. So, but interestingly enough, just for like a reference of, I would really struggle with our pronunciation for now. It is what it is. This one, the Empress card, I'm going to show it to each screen just so that y'all can see specifics. There's 3. So the way that the fate bindings work is it's 3, 3, and 3. 3, 3, and 3. I talk about 9-day rituals sometimes on the blog. 3, 3, and 3. Okay, 3, 3, and 3, because then you have 1, 2, 3. It's one group of 3, one group of 3, one group of 3. That makes 3, and there's each 3 in it. It's a 9. So when you have a 3 and a 3 and a 3, that's what this is. It's crossed. It can't be undone. It's crossed. It can't be undone. It's a final thing. It's crossed and it cannot be undone. It has to be done 3, 3, and 3. So the Empress, there's only one line missing. It's one of the straight up and down ones. It's one of the straight up and you see that. And for me, if you're looking at the card directly, it's the one on the right side. So it's like the future. The future is yet to be consecrated, but everything else is set up. Everything else is set up. You got everything else set up. It's like a binding that's like final. It's final, 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 final. The only thing that is yet to be done is like this future you, this future. Okay, so the Wands Queen, was it future you who asked younger you to go do a thing so that future you could have the thing? You still have to get to future you, wherever this is coming from. You have to get to future you. If you're wondering about crossing, you need to go back to the origin. Okay, for people who are relating to this, and you like, sometimes we know things. Okay, you're knowing how this relates to you. Go back to the origin of the crossing, go back to the origin of the union, go back to the origin of the harvest, go back. When did younger you activate it? When did younger you start? That's the origin of this crossing. So go back to that and look through. What are you asking for there? What are you looking for? How is it done? What is it that you're really interested in? Got it. What is it that you're asking for? What is it that you're asking for, younger you? What is it that you're asking for? Let younger you help you understand. Let younger you help you understand, because younger you has, just like I was talking about just knowing things earlier, younger you just has knowings. Younger you doesn't need to explain it. Younger you just has the magic that is necessary. Younger you gets it. Younger you gets it. Go talk to, if you need to, go talk to younger you. Go talk to younger you, because you're about to become the future you. You're about to become the future you, but you need to go and speak to younger you, because younger you has something to tell you. Younger you has something to tell you. I love that. Younger you has something to tell you. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Ah, wow, dude. That's incredible. So good. It's like a snowflake on top with plus the snowflake. Talk about a consecration. Talk about it. Thanks. I've been doing this since yesterday. It's harsh. Understood. Understood. I'm going to get back into the reading in a second. I just want to take a coffee break for a moment. I had a feeling when I got on, I was like, this is probably going to be a little bit longer of a live stream today. So thanks for sitting with me and hanging out, Mm-hmm. I do not do readings anymore. No, my books are closed. My sessions are closed. It feels really strange. Sometimes we just know things. I know I need to shift. I know I need to shift. It's like I got to get into a different gear. I got to shift. I tried to do the shift in like October time. It was September, October. It's like around the previous eclipse season. I tried to shift then. I tried to like make the entire shift then. But there was just a moment where I was like, I've got to go back. I've got to go back. And I'm grateful that I did, because I did need to. I did need to. There's like many, 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 many reasons I needed to. But now where I am currently, and like the shift of TikTok stuff that's kind of happening. And it's just there's also like it's just a career shift. It's a career shift, a gift. The crossing stuff. It's a gift, and I'm grateful for it. And also I need to be in, I'm not really sure yet. It's like, I'm sure, but I'm not sure, but I am. I'm not, kind of thing. Like, it still needs to be created. I'm not quite there yet, but like, I'm going to get there, kind of thing. It is what it is. So there's a shift in career for myself. And I have to, no more readings. I have to. And sometimes spirit does this for me. I don't know how this would translate for other people, but for whatever reason, I feel like I need to say this or like talk about this. Sometimes spirit will have me start the thing. Sometimes spirit has me start the thing, or like become how do I say? Because it's become now, how do I say this? I'm starting to see videos of people who would not normally be interested in astrology being like, okay, well, who do I talk to now? Because I need to get this reading done, or it's like become more normalized to get readings. And for whatever reason, spirit needs me to move. Spirit callings, I was talking about that earlier too, being called in spirit. Spirit needs me to move away from doing readings. So it's like, no more readings, no more readings, no more readings, no more readings, no more readings. And because you have another thing, it's like, I'm always, how do I say? I would say a trailblazer, but I don't have fire in my hand like that, burning down the grass sort of thing. It's just like there's a new set path for me to walk. There's a new crossing somewhere in the future for me. And for whatever reason, I've always been a little bit ahead. Whether however you feel about that, I still sometimes struggle with whatever that is. It just is what it is. That's who I need to be. That's who I am. I was born that way. I don't really have a say in it. You know, and sometimes we don't get to choose who we are. That's a part of my structure that is not really, I can't really change that. I could ignore it, but I don't want to, because there's a lot of gifts that it's like a gift. I guess that's true. It is a gift. So anyway, so that's part of it. It's like, I don't know why, but I need that. I don't know why, but I need that. And there needs to be a different gift, a different shift. There needs to be a different path that's walked. Because if you look at, that's true for whatever. Okay, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. Interesting. In our modern day, spirituality has become so like open. It's so open. It's so, hello, hi, we're on the internet right now. Hi. It's become so open. It's become so open. It's become so open. LOL, the panda bear. I was just watching, there's a, you can't see it on this screen, there's a little, you know, on TikTok you can do the little gifs and like they show up with animations. It was panda. I was just watching Full Metal Alchemist the other night. This is a complete left field side tangent, but whatever. I was watching the Full Metal Alchemist the other night, and it was the episode, for anybody who's familiar with it, where he finds the little tiny panda bear, Alphonse, the big guy in the suit of armor, who's actually like a child. He finds the little panda. Anyways, that's what that reminded me of. Spirituality, getting back on topic, spirituality has become something that's like really mainstream, and people are using it to market products that are not necessarily actually going to be helping within being rooted and grounded in the earth. It's being exploited now. Okay. Exploitation? Interesting. Exploitation. Exploitation? I'm not going to exploit that. I understand now. Exploitation? No. 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 Exploitation? I'm not going to exploit my gifts. I'm not going to exploit the spirits. No. Exploitation? What does it even mean to be exploited? Exploit? Ploy is like to plan, right? Ploy is like a schemy plan, though. Exploit. Let me look that up. Hold on. You can do it, computer. You can do it. T-A, root word. Te, abbreviation. Teach. No, not that one. Thanks. First person. In Arabic, it's first person. Interesting. That was the first one to come up. Old English, it means toe. Interesting. Didn't mean to derail. No, I don't think you did. I think this feels like information that needs to come through. This does not feel like a derailment. This feels like an acceleration. That's what it feels like. It does not feel like a derailment. Interesting. So X, something that is separation. Ploy, a scheming plan. Te, couple different things. Could be singular person, means toe in English. So like a root. To exploit the roots. Shun, Tion, the act of doing something. Exploitation, you're telling me that I am making scheming plans to separate things in the roots? No. The act of doing that, that's what exploitation is. Let's think about that on a spiritual level. Okay, roots, ancestors? No, absolutely not. It needs to go. Exploitation. No. No. Thank you for helping me understand that. No, it needs to go. At least for my show, at least for what I do, at least for what is on the internet for me. Okay. There's a reason and a purpose that I'm walking and moving in a different direction. That being a part of it for sure. But the exploitation, because if we're looking at, again, spirituality on kind of like a bigger scale, or like how society, interesting, actually, this is going to be kind of a little bit bigger picture, but to draw in the transits because necessary. Saturn and Neptune move into Aries this year. Saturn and Neptune in Aries being conjunct is new spiritual order that we are preparing for in this current moment. We don't get prepared for no reason. Sometimes we don't know what we're being prepared for. Sometimes we don't understand why we're going through what we're going through when we're being prepared. Clock that. True. Exploitation, that doesn't need to come into the new system. Not for me. Not for what I'm creating. Do you see what's happening with nature right now? Do you see the way the spirits are moving on the earth right now? No, I'm not exploiting anything. Keep me protected in that essence. Thank you, me. Yes. I don't need that. I don't need that. Let me walk and revere the spirits. Let me walk in a motherhood and revere the spirits so that I am not going to be cleared off the earth. I revere it. Please don't move me out of it. You know what? Please don't move me out of it. Please allow me to continue to sit and revere the path that I'm on and love truth free, gratitude, love, reverence, honor, glory, and elevation. And that's the truth. That's the truth. Keep me on that path. Keep me in that path. Keep me walking in that path. Keep me talking in that path. Keep me moving. Keep me flying. Keep me rooted in that path. That's where my realms need to be, in that path. Yeah, that's where my realms need to be, in that path. Keep me on that path. I don't need to be working in exploitation. The ancestors, not all of them, but some of them that that I come from, they've done enough. They've done enough. And I've done enough work to make sure that I'm out of that. So we're done. We're done. We're done. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not exploiting the spirits. I'm not exploiting the spirits. Nope. I'm not exploiting them. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. That's not to say that readings are not necessary. That's not to, what are we doing right now? Sitting and reading the energy, understanding the transits. That's not to say that readings are not necessary. Sometimes you got to sit down, you got to read a book. Sometimes you got to sit down, you got to read a person. Sometimes you got to sit down, you got to read yourself. Okay. So reading is necessary. We got to listen, we got to learn, we got to look. It's true. That's just a part of what it is to be a human, in my opinion. So it's not to deter you away from getting readings from other people, or because sometimes that's one thing about magic that I've learned through the years is like sometimes, even if it's something that you might not agree with, even if it's something that you understand has a negative impact, even if it's something that you understand is not necessarily the healthiest thing to be doing, if you're still stuck in it, sometimes you've got to go back into it so that you can get whatever gold you need to get yourself the profit to break out of the cycle. So this is not me, and I'm not saying that to deter you. Like, still follow your calling. Spirit, if you got to go get a reading, Spirit might have called you to that for a reason. If your heart's calling you to go do it, you know what I mean? Like, it's not to, there's no shame. What have I been saying recently? No hate, no shade, no shame. Those are like the three. If you're following that spirit calling, I just for myself need to be a person who has been offered a leadership position on the internet and in the spirit. Thank you. I need to be able to revere what spirit is asking me to do. And that is to make sure that I'm not, no more dipping of the toes back into the reading, so that I have other places I need to grow, because we have other foundations and fundamentals that need to get set up as collectives here on the earth. We've been doing within like the TikTok space, it's a lot of readings, lots of understandings, lots of sharings of wisdom. There's people who share order and structure over there too with magic. It's like, if you do this, then this is going to happen. It's like that stuff. But we're entering into a new place and a new space when it comes to spirituality. Also, just for reference of what some of these transits are associated with that we're walking through this year on a big, this is again, still kind of bigger picture. Pluto and Aquarius associated with rebellion in many different architectural levels, structural levels. We have Uranus moving into Gemini, associated with the witch trials of Salem. Saturn and Neptune conjunct in Aries over the next couple of years. It's happening a couple times, associated with secret societies. And what was the other one again? Secret societies. There's another one. And new spiritual order. It's like the reason it's secret societies is because it's like, okay, we've got to do this thing. It's going to be private just for us, but it's going to push ahead. It's not going to be something that lasts for thousands of years probably, but it's going to be something that pushes the people ahead to where we need to be spiritually, so that structures, religions, maybe orders of things can get set up further on down the line. So it's like a spark or a start of something, a lot of the times done in more secrecy sort of places or spaces. So there's a lot of different interesting transits that have crossovers this year when it comes to the spirituality of how things are moving. We've lived in the extreme of spirituality being like very religious. We've lived in the extreme of spirituality being very, very private. And we're now currently where we are living in the extreme of spirituality being pushed out so far into the narratives and like into the spaces where even people who wouldn't consider themselves on a spiritual path are now being met with like, here's a Scorpio candle, or like that kind of stuff, you know? But it's like, did the people who make the Scorpio candle, did they think about where the wax came from? Did they think about where the the product itself and like the materials came from? Did they think about where the story of Scorpio came from? Did they like put that intention behind it? Did they revere the spirits of astrology while they were doing it? Or did they just use them to make money? Because I'm sick of it. We need money in the systems we live in to function as a human being. I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm tired. I am tired. I'm tired. Let me prove to TikTok I'm a person. Well, I'm tired. Thank you, TikTok. I'm sick of it. Yeah, I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm tired. So let us be inspired then, because if I'm tired, there's got to be spirits around who are tired too. And then the way that we get out of tired, for me in my practice, you get inspired. So I'm tired of it. That means there's got to be new inspiration. There's got to be new something else over on another side of things. There's got to be something new. New. There's got to be inspiration to inspire, to light a fire, to think higher. It's an offering, an opportunity to elevate oneself. Inspiration. So there's been exploitation. Now we need inspiration. Get us up and out. And that's Aries. Aries is the story of the kids being abused. It's the story of the kids being used. And I think it's Zeus, the mom. It's the stepmom who is like being really nasty to these kids. And the mom prays to Zeus. Again, fairly certain it's Zeus. Prays to Zeus. Zeus sends the ram, a gold-haired ram. The kids, a daughter and a son, they get on the ram and they get lifted up and out of this situation. They fly over the ocean. The daughter falls off in the middle. The boy makes it. They get to the other side. Well, the boy makes it to the other side. He, what is it called? Shears the ram, gives the gold hair, the golden locks to the king of the place where he landed. So like to honor the institution, to honor the system. Here you go. Here's the gold. And then that ram is sacrificed back to Zeus. So you got to give life back to those who have saved you, giving life back to those who lift you up and out and inspire you to leave. For me, that's the spirits a lot of the time. So like, I'm going to keep making my offerings. That's true. Plus, while we have that happening, while Saturn and Neptune, oh my God, I didn't even think about that. I didn't even think about that until just now. The North Node moving into Pisces, we went totally in another direction that is not just the full moon in Cancer. So thanks for hanging out. Important information still. Interesting. Because the North Node being in Pisces is going to be ruled by a Neptune that's in Aries conjunct with Saturn for like a moment of time. So all of this, us getting the exploitation of the spirits and the exploitations of the practices and the exploitation of things, we're getting lifted up and out of that. And the North Node being in Pisces is like, we're going to have to do things we've never done before to be able to do that. We're going to have to get really uncomfortable. We're going to have to walk blindly. We're going to have no idea what's going on and focus on the knowing. The North Node, I was talking about the knowings earlier. Sometimes I just know things. Most people who walk spiritual paths sometimes just know things. Sometimes you just know things, okay? Clock it. Sometimes you just know things. So if you have knowings over the previous, or in the previous years, interesting, and over the next couple of years while the North Node's in, you know it for a reason. You know it. You might not know why you know it, but you know it for a reason. And the eclipses are long-term cycles too. So this is like stuff that could impact you for a long time. So keep up. If you know something, this is not a year that you would want to disregard your intuition. The next couple years, not a year you want to disregard your intuition, not a year you want to disregard the knowings. If you know something, you know it for a reason. That's trusting yourself. That's trusting the season that you're in. That's trusting the spirits on your team. That's trusting God, source, universe. That's trusting the highest spirit, whoever you call on, whoever it is that you have like around you in your practice. Because there's a lot of different of those like higher names or larger names, the older names. In my opinion, the oldest one, the biggest one, they don't have a name. So the uncalled, I guess that's true too. Let them rest. But whoever it is that you call on, that's you. If you have a knowing, you have a knowing. And Pisces also, for reference of like protection, since there's a lot of kind of like, where are we going? What are we doing? There's a lot of change happening. Pisces is associated with sacrifice. So just make sure if you're someone who makes offerings, or like you say thank you for the wisdom when it comes through, or if you feel like you need to give an offering out in nature, whatever it is you feel like you need to do. I know I need to do this. Go do it. Go give the offering. Go make the offering. Go. It's time then. If you're called to do it, it's time. It's time. There's only Once that I haven't made an offering that I've been called to, and I got a bloody nose because they needed a payment for what I asked for. So I haven't missed a day since. I haven't missed an offering since. Haven't missed one. It's serious. It's serious. It's serious. The spirits are real serious, and that's just necessary and needed. It's just necessary and needed. So no more exploitation. The deja vu. Ooh, thank you for sharing that with me. Oh my goodness. Yeah, no more exploitation. No more exploitation. We may not know the designation, we may not know the destination, but no more exploitation. And I'll also say this, as someone who has dedicated their life to being in the spirit and dedicated their life to being in a practice, that's true. There's a lot of things that are being called of me recently that I'm like, but I don't know. I understand. I don't understand. I'm able right now to make sense of a lot of the things that I didn't understand years ago, but there's some things right now. It's like things that I'm looking forward to and I'm grateful that I'm called to them. That's very clear to me. Let me give reverence to that. That's very obvious, very clear. It feels sacred and I feel grounded in it. Yes. And it doesn't feel because there's been times in my life where I've been called into situations where it's really scary, or I've been called into situations where it's like I have a lot to carry. I know I'm going to have to do some things I don't really want to do. And it's not like that right now. I'm in a different place. I'm in a different season. It's a change of pace. There's a different reason for me here. So recently, the things I've been being called into, I'm looking at them and I'm looking at them and I'm being like, actually, you know what? Actually, that makes sense. Actually, I understand. I understand why you would call me into that. I kind of called myself into that, to be honest with you. I understand why you would call me into that, but I may not understand the impacts of it or the implications of it or what the bigger crossings of the future might look like. I don't have any idea. I have speculations. I can speculate. I can look at it and say maybe, but I can't know it until I arrive there. And another thing that's coming to my mind right now is what is meant for you is not going to miss you. What's meant for you is not going to miss you. What's meant for you is not going to miss you. So if you have things that you know that are like around you or crossing you recently and you're like, yeah, I'm meant for that, it's not going to miss you. If you're really meant for it, it's not going to miss you. My good golly goodness. Goodness gracious. Wow. Thank you for the Callie. That was not a derailment. I'm very grateful for the direction that took us in because that I've been trying to figure out recently. That helps me feel more grounded in my path because with all the just like weird stuff, possible stuff that's happening with TikTok, you know what I mean? That's been my largest platform for a long time. And so like there's the possibility that it's going, the possibility that it's not. And recently, over the previous like day, there was like several different things that happened yesterday where yesterday, was it yesterday? Yesterday and the day before. Yeah. There's several different things that happened where I was like, well, I didn't mean for that. I didn't mean for it to happen that way, but it happened that way. Why did it happen that way? Oh, I didn't mean for it to happen, but it did. So let me look at it. How did it benefit me? How did it help me? Even though it took more time, even though it was unexpected, even though things didn't go to plan, how did it help? How, because it wouldn't be in the order if it didn't need to be. Yeah. So a little bit different, but yeah, I used to be scared to walk blind. It is kind of scary. Your eyes are closed. Scary, you know? Mm-hmm. Good. Yeah, you're welcome for sure. You know, you for sure. The paramount. The paramount. Yes. I'm gonna rest for a moment. That was a lot. That was I still want I feel it's I can still feel the energy around. There's still some things I need to ground is what it feels like, but I just want to sit and talk for a second with you guys instead of sitting in like a big old channel. That's crazy. That's crazy. Oh my goodness. Oh, thank you. Yeah, you're welcome. Yo, take it easy. Thank you. Thanks. Trying to move. And I keep getting a no. I am waiting for the universe. That honestly, Aaron, that happened to me like November. It's like October, November, end of November. I was like, yeah, I'm moving. Yeah, I'm moving. I'm moving. They looked at me and they said, are you really? Are you really? I didn't. I'm still here. Well, then may you be able to get lifted up and out of that if you need it, however you need that, you know? Goodness gracious. Speaking of following you on YouTube, I keep noticing, what did you say? I keep noticing synchronicities when listening to you. Dude, I love, because I go kind of back and forth on my podcast. I'm so excited to get into, excited, looking forward to. There's kind of a rework right now because I've got, listen, we could sit and talk about that. That's fine. I've got this week, so tomorrow, I've 3 days this week, 3 days next week, and then one session on 2 Mondays from now. It's like 2 weeks from now. So I don't have very many days of sessions left, and I know I'm gonna be picking up more training hours for myself. Okay, got it. I also know that I'm gonna be moving back into more content, and I can feel that there's, like, an idea. You ever you ever known that there's an idea somewhere sitting? Maybe I gotta sit and think about it. Maybe I gotta sit and think about it. There's an idea. I have an idea, but it has not yet been uncovered, you know? There's an idea. I got an idea somewhere, but it's hidden. It's an idea, the seed in the pocket that came through in the reading earlier. Possibly. Interesting. But there's an idea. It's an idea that's somewhere. It's like somewhere back over here. There's an idea. There's an idea that's somewhere back over here all covered up, just kind of silently calling to me, waiting for me to see it. Hey, I'm right here. Just kidding. It's not talking, not yet. But once I see it, and that's interesting too, because do I want to talk about that? Do I need to reveal that? Do I need feels important? Feels important. The unexpected stuff happening unexpectedly, but working out. One of the things that's been because I make offerings. When I say make offerings to the spirits, I'm someone who needs to make. There's a lot of work I do, so I need to make a lot of offerings. I gotta keep the spirits fed how I need to. That's just what it is. So interesting. I kind of want to go get those. Some stuff just got dropped off at the front door, and I can see the delivery truck. Thank you for the deliverance. Thank you. The deliveries. Thanks. Interesting. Yeah, because I'm pretty sure if that's what I think it is, it would be useful for this moment right now. Give me a second. Hold on. Give me just a moment. I'm gonna be right back. Because it's myrrh incense, I'm fairly certain. And myrrh is helpful for me. Are you sure? What are you sure about? It's like clarity and revealing. And I feel like there's some stuff we're about to figure out. Let me go see. I'm gonna go get it. You know what song I have stuck in my head right now? You ever heard Boiled Peanuts by Doechii? When she does the like, that gets stuck in my head. I don't know what it is about it. Oh no, this isn't the myrrh. This is lavender. Still though, I love you, lavender. Not what I thought it was gonna be, but you know what? That's all right. It's still helpful. Oh my! Did we just receive something? Yes, we did. We did, and it was so. The other day, there's been some interesting. How do I say? Because I keep a list of books up on my website. If like, there's some books on there that I really, really want to read. There's some books on there that I'm just like kind of interested in, but like I study a lot of magic in books as well. Like this is what I do full time, so of course I read books on it. Duh. But there was one book in there. I'll show it to you. Hold on. Where is it? Where did it go? Is it in my bag? It's in my bag. So I'm doing some work on recently. It's been slow rolling. It's for good reason. It's been slow rolling. But I told myself I've had these two books, The Origin of Time, Stephen Hawking's Final Theory. So good. And then Zero, the biography of a dangerous idea. This is what I mean. There's a shift in my career happening. I'm not really sure where this is going, but where are we going? Don't know yet. So I've been working together with some of this work, and I told myself that I was going to put this work on pause because this I started studying on April 8th. It was like just before the new moon solar eclipse in Aries the previous year. We're about to have another one. Okay. Interesting. I sat there on the April 8th new moon eclipse and I scrolled down so many notes. It was like 7 pages of notes, so many notes. And I've been taking so many notes since then. I had to get a binder. And I've started taking more notes and more notes. And it's like work that the spirits sit with me. They sit this, there's one spirit specifically whose name I will not say on camera, but there's one spirit specifically that I sit with to help me with these studies, even though I do revere you. And I'm really grateful for that. I sit with the spirit study, but it's been like there's been so many other like human things going on that I haven't really had the time. The studies this is human related, okay? We can't have a spiritual practice if it's not human related. And also human, how do I say? Human wisdoms sometimes have to be really theoretical and philosophical rather than being very applied. There's a difference. There's a difference. And so I told myself, because I haven't really had the time to like sit and study this stuff recently, but it's like what I love reading about right now, the time and zero. And also the first video, that's crazy. Talking about the origin, not me having this like clarity, this revelation, not me having this revelation in the middle of a live stream, because we were talking earlier in the reading about the origin, going back to the origin of the seed. The first time that I ever went viral on the internet, I was talking about math. I was talking about numbers. I wasn't talking about astrology. I was kind of talking about spiritual stuff, but I was talking about the Fibonacci sequence. I was talking about something that I had discovered within the Fibonacci sequence that somebody else discovered like a couple hundred years ago, but I didn't know that they had discovered it a couple hundred years ago because I don't have traditional academic learnings when it comes to math. I didn't go to college, but still interesting. So numbers have always interested me. Patterns have always interested me. So I've been studying zero as an idea because it's a theory. It's not a number right now. I've been studying that for a while. And there was a bunch of information that came through on the new moon solar eclipse in Aries back on April 8th of 2024. The upcoming solar eclipse, for reference of just timing, in case there's anything important that came up for you around that time in 2024, April 8th, we have a new moon solar eclipse that's coming up in Aries on the 29th. And less than 24 hours after that, Neptune moves into Aries. Spiritual, what was I talking about earlier? Getting lifted up and out of new spiritual orders. Okay, there's new stuff coming through, new spiritual wisdoms, lifting us up, inspiration, think higher. So that's coming through. Apparently unblind yourself too. I don't know if you caught that. Interesting. Interesting. But I told myself, I put this book, I'll show it to you in a second. I put this book on my list of books and that I have on my wish list on Amazon. Put this on there, and I have that wish list set to a surprise. So if people buy those for me, I don't know that they're going to get to my door until they show up. So I had another package I was waiting on, and I was like, oh, it's probably that. Let me go to the door and go pick it up. Like, I'm super looking forward to that being in my life. Cool. Let me go get it. It was not that. And it was this book, and I told myself it's called The Order of Time. If you've been following me for a while, you know how much I talk about order magic and structure magic, the order of time. Ooh, I told myself when this book, like if someone on my wish list was to give me this book, I was going to start the work again. Here we are, right place, right time. So my studies again have begun. I haven't gotten too deep into it, but I'm trying to find like a balance right now. Balance. And I'm also trying to figure out how much of this stuff because it's a lot of work that, how do I say? Reveal it anyway. Okay, thank you. Because it's a lot of work that I just feel, hold on. It's like sacred, lots of wisdoms. But I got a whole binder of like the studies that this spirit has been having me sit with. But it's not astrology stuff. It's not even close to astrology stuff. This is like mathematics and wormholes and like a whole bunch of other weird things going on. But I think it's time that we start to talk about the magic of metaphysics and those concepts and how to put them into our magical practices. Yes, with the what? Yes. So like I said, there's a shift that I'm taking in my career. There's a gift when it comes to the astrology, and I'm very grateful for the astrology. I'm really grateful. But I've only been doing astrology for like a year and a half. When I first started in the fame realm of things, I was doing a whole bunch of other stuff. And so this has been, not that I'm going to stop teaching astrology because I love astrology. I love astrology, and it is a system that affords us many wisdoms. And I will not probably for a while stop doing that. And also, this is kind of like where my heart has been. Full moon in Cancer, clarity. Okay, thank you for listening to me. Interesting. So it's time for the work to begin again. Yeah, but this showed up, and people can send little notes. Hold on. I always end up using the notes as the bookmarks. So good. So good. So I'm not exactly sure what's going to start coming through, but it is going to be something different. It's going to be on YouTube more than likely. I'm going to keep up with the astrological updates on here, but YouTube is probably going to be the place where I start to share more of this. more of this work. There's a different, how do I say? If I don't have to sit in session, I have more time to create the work and study and then create and study and create and study. It's like a more natural rhythm and flow for me for the work that I've been in recently. So there's some shifts that are coming through, but if you're looking for more of that information, I don't know when it's going to get here. Let it arrive. That's true. Let it arrive. Let me light some more incense and see if there's anything else that needs to come through. I mean, I guess it's not a left turn for me, but clearly here we are. Clearly here we are. Interesting. Goodness. I want to be your student. Well, you know what? Sign up for the YouTube. Sign up for the YouTube. There's going to be more lessons over there. More lessons over there, which I'm actually, how do I say? I'm back in a mode of discovery. I haven't been in a mode of discovery in a long time. And I think too, there's a part of me, because I went through a lot of different hard stuff right after I went famous, went viral, had my first like moment of fame thing happen on TikTok. There was just a lot of really hard things. It was like there was a hard thing that had happened to me and I was healing from that. And then fame came through and it was this beautiful gift and things were really working out. And then there was like some really, really, really hard things that started and it hasn't stopped till the recent months. Super grateful that they're over. Super grateful that it's done. Super grateful for the war that is won. Super grateful for where I am now. I'm super grateful for the path I've walked, and I'm super, super grateful for how I'm rooted in my life now. I'm very grateful for everything I have. I'm very grateful for this apartment. I'm grateful for the support. I'm grateful for everything. Everything, even the nitty gritty, gross, icky, yucky, blah that I've been through. I'm grateful for that too. I'm grateful for that too. And actually, can you see this on screen? Not really. Okay, cool. Sometimes they don't like fire on the internet, on the, I don't know, how do you say, like the community guidelines stuff, just to make sure, just to make sure. But yeah, the previous several years they've afforded me a new position in life. And they've also been very difficult. I had to fight for it. Sometimes necessary. Sometimes you got to fight for your positions in life. It's a birthright to fight. That's what the spirits tell me. It's a birthright to fight. So something, because also, interesting, dude. Because also, when you say YouTube, does that also connect to the blog space? Yeah. Yes. Which I'm super excited for. That's one thing I started doing before I got into sessions again in like the end of October, early November, around that time. I was like making a blog post and a YouTube video to go together. And I laughed at myself because I was like, how very teacher of me. Like, how very teacher of me. How very like, yeah, I had a funny little haha moment with myself. I was like, well, at least it's comprehensive. Like, at least it's a comprehensive space. So yeah, I know that I'm going to keep up with the like weekly astrology update things because I've been wondering for a while how there's so much magic wisdom that I have that is external to astrology. Like there's an astrological system of magic, there's an astrological system of our planets and the spirits, but there's so much other magic that exists in the world, and there's so much other magic that I know about that we need to know about. There's like is I'm able to like bring it to the forefront or bring it as an offering, and I just haven't found the right sort of like space or the right sort of like way to present it or the way to work it or the way to how do I say, there's so many different layers to it. There's so many different layers to it. There's so many different layers to it. So I'm just like, I'm still kind of, is it a question? I'm the kind of person who I don't like to do things if I can't see the full vision. I don't like to do things if I can't see it. If I can't see it, if I don't know what it's going to be, if I can't dream it, it's really hard for me to like put my feet on the ground and do stuff about it. And so I really need this clarity I have a feeling I'm going to be walking blind in it for a while, which is fine. There's a vision that came through recently for me, but it was like more of a personal, very long-term thing. And I need the vision. That's true. Cause I did ask for help. So the spirits I asked for help with, hear me again, please. And thank you. I love you so much. I need a more specific vision for like right here, right now, something to inspire me. You know what? I need some inspiration too. That's true. Oh my goodness. So good. The unfolding of it. Yeah, it's good. Border University of Magic. You flatter me. You flatter me. That's really funny. Oh my goodness. That's real funny. That's real. Warner University of Magic. I don't know that I would call it a university, but you know what? Because then the other part of things too is like I picked up Brazilian Jiu Jitsu about 2 years ago, and then I stopped training, but now I'm back into it again. I have my first competition on Saturday, which I'm super excited for. No way. No way. No way. No way. Probably, actually. Let me not reject it too much. There was a podcast episode recently. There was a couple of them where I was like, I don't know if you watched it or not, but I was doing this and I was like, what's going to happen? What I don't remember what I was talking about other than what's going to happen. What's going to happen? And I just sat and I did this and I just did that again. Order is a strange thing. The repetition of patterns is a strange thing. Interesting. Anyway, so I know that I'm going in a couple different circles. We're in spiral mode right now. That's okay. Spiral to ground something. That's how I feel about this. Let me go. Do I want to go back to the train? No, let me go back to that. So, because I know that I'm going to keep up with the Astrology and Magic podcast, because that's something I actually have started to really enjoy. Like, not that I didn't enjoy it at the beginning, but like just keeping up. I was in a time and a place where like keeping up with it was kind of difficult, or like sometimes you got to push yourself to get comfortable doing something, you know? So, valid. I took a turn there because I wasn't doing weekly updates before like September, October time. I was doing just like major transits that were happening. And so I took the turn to do weekly updates on the like what was happening during the week. It's been really good since then. The growth actually has been great. Thank you so much. If you're somebody who supports the podcast, thank you. 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 I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful for you. Thank you so much. The question has been on my mind and my heart for a long time, for like 8 months now. Interesting number. For like 8 months now, I've been wondering, how do I start teaching people magic again? Because before I started teaching astrology, I was teaching magic. I was teaching a lot of magic. I was teaching magic fundamentals. I was teaching mythologies. I was teaching magic. I didn't really have a structure or a system. I was just teaching magic. And I stepped away to step into astrology. And now, for a while, I've been called to figure out, how do I bring them back together again? So I've been teaching some fundamentals of the astrological magic, but there's more magic that exists that is external to the astrological systems, because there's different groups of gods than just the gods that are associated with our astrological systems. And so there's different sorts of wisdoms, and there's also just different sorts of practices. Valid. So then, okay, taking another right turn with my physical training. When my sessions wrap up, I'll be in more training. I'm starting to train more. There's more hours, more art forms I'll be training in. So I'm sitting here. I just had this conversation with somebody the other day. I'm sitting here wondering, looking at my life, being like, where is really me going? Where really am I going? Because there's this astrology and magic fame on the internet. There's this fighting and martial arts and this thing that's over here. And I keep wondering, and I don't know that I'm going to figure it out for a while. Okay. Don't know that the answer is going to come through for a while. Valid though. I keep wondering, why does the famous priestess astrologer person need to pursue the fighting pathway? Where are we going? Where are we going? What is the purpose of those things coming together? And then with the other wisdoms that were coming through earlier, like the external to astrology, magic stuff, wormholes, time frames. Where are they going? Where am I going? That's really my question. Where am I going? I'm called to a thing. I'm called to a place, a presentation, wherever that is. I'm not really sure, but I know that those are the fundamentals. Where are we going? Oh, because Spirit wouldn't have me sitting in the seat. Spirit wouldn't have me sitting in the seat and learning how to compete also if there wasn't a purpose for it. What's the purpose? What's the purpose, Spirit? What's the purpose? What do you need from me? What really is it? What really is it? I want to know. It would be very helpful. I'm probably not supposed to know yet. No, not yet. We are here for it. Thank you. It's like playing physical chess. Honestly, that's true. It really is. It really is. Also, yes, I did read the Akatar series. Very interesting. Why are you asking me that question? Why are you asking? That was a pivotal moment in my life. That's very curious. I would like to know why you're asking me that question. It is lots of unknown right now. We're going to have more clarity come through when the new moon solar eclipse happens in Aries. So just a heads up. That was a lot of like personal stuff on my end, but also the new moon in Aries. That's on March 29th. For anyone who's wondering about that. Yes. You know, I'm having fun, but because you're Nesta, no. Oh my gosh. Do you know? Because that's the book about the Valkyries. That's the book. Hello, Valkyria. That's the book about the Valkyries. That's crazy. I can see it sitting on my shelf right now. That's the book about the Valkyries. Do you know how many times, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, there's the Akatar books, A Court of Thorns and Roses by, is it Sarah J. Maas? I'm pretty sure is how you pronounce her last name. I started reading that. I needed a break from social media. I needed time off to rest and digest, and I needed time off of my life. So I started reading that book. I devoured the first one. I got through most of the second one, and I was like, okay, I'm ready to go back to life again. And it was about a week's time. The couple days, several days, about a week's time. I just had to like digest a lot of stuff. Read those. And then I picked up the third one. I don't remember most of it. I'm not going to lie to you, because there was a bunch of like war, battle, stuff. And I was like, this is really uninteresting. Where is the romance? Where's the romance? There was like moments of it, yes, but the first two books are mostly romance stuff. And then the third one was like a bunch of battle and politics, which whatever, it's great. Okay. And then the fourth book, which is like a novella, is about, I'm not even a book talk influencer, whatever. Here's the story. So the fourth book is a novella about it's Christmas time. It's Christmas time. Here's the presents stuff. It sets up the scene and the writing style for the next book. And the next book, which is about Nesta, and you are not Nesta, you are Gwen. Okay, curious. Mysterious. Interesting. Interesting. It's about the Valkyries. So Nesta, one of the sisters, becomes a Valkyrie. She's like, we're doing this now. She's really hesitant, but she becomes the Valkyries. And like they start one of the priestesses, because there's a group of priestesses that lives they live in like the underground space. I don't remember exactly what the name of it is, but they have this whole library, and they take care of the library and they study. And one of the priestesses, who is like a assistant to another priestess, they're working on, the head priestess of that dynamic is working on a book on the Valkyries. And so the one priestess who's the assistant is doing a bunch of research on the Valkyries. And there's so many times in that book, because as a Valkyria, there's a lot of path work that I do that is in that route. Has to be for me. That's just what it is. That's what I need. And that's been called upon me for a very long time. So it is. This is really something. We'll leave it be. Anyways, there are so many times reading that book where I cried, and I was like, I have not found anyone else who relates to this story like this story does, to my story like this story does. Cried and cried and cried. And then they got to the final part of the book, which I'm not going to give you any spoilers, but they got to the final part of the book. I finished the book, and I literally I finished it while I was laying in bed. I finished the book and I just sat there and I bawled. It was incredibly dramatic, but it was really what I needed at the time. Oh my goodness. Yeah. The spiritual discipline it really is. Somebody said to me the other day, the spiritual discipline of martial arts. Somebody said to me the other day that it's like a lifestyle. It's somebody who's like newer at the place that I go and train at. They're like, yeah, it's very much a lifestyle. And I was like, yeah, it definitely is. It definitely is. For me, it's a very spiritual thing. It's very, very spiritual. So yeah, yeah. The series was good. It was good. It was good. It was good for my mind. It was good for my mind and good for my heart. It reminded me to like live a little, It reminded me to live a little. Yeah. And it was also, I just went to Amazon to get books. Good. Oh, you mean, let me leave it be. You mean for me or for you? I just want to, because if you got that for me, I want to say thank you, but I also am not expecting that. So if it was not for me, then that's why I stopped for a second. But if you're going to get those books, enjoy them. They're good. They're good. It like got me back up again. That series, because I hadn't read a series of books in a long time. I stopped reading for a while, and it is. Your heart is literally electromagnetic. Look up that part, unless you know your heart is literally electromagnetic. Interesting. I'll have to look it up. Cool. Strange. But yeah, that series. Interesting. Is there anything else? I kind of want to pull cards from this other deck. Hold on. I just want to have a look. Because this deck is, they say, One of these has find your magic, find it, and then the bottom of the other, like where the cards are kept, says use your magic. Find your magic, use your magic. So let's talk about it. Yeah. Do you see a lot of similarities between the books and reality? Oh yeah. There's a lot of different magics in those books, the Akatar books. There's a lot of different magic in those books where I was like, clearly she practices, or she wouldn't be able to write about that. Clearly she practices, or she wouldn't be able to write about that. Or, like, I don't know who she has relationships with in the spirits, but clearly somebody's telling her something. Clearly somebody's telling her something, because those books are magical in like an actual practical way. Yep. The cauldron is crazy. Cauldron is crazy. Okay, let's pull some. Find your magic, use your magic. I got a lot of questions, actually. Hold on, before I pull those cards, I got a lot of questions. We're gonna go in a different direction for a second, because now I'm sitting here thinking about the exploitation. We're talking about the exploitation of magic, not being exploitative, exploitation of the spirits. And all the placements, transits for this year, clearly there's a shift. This feels more mysterious. Hold on. Clearly there's a shift. Clearly the spirits got us looking at something, shifting something. Well, I guess I'm shifting in my personal life too. Clearly there's a shift, spiritual shift. One of the things I said about Pluto and Aquarius was a new era of magic. It's a new era. The old era is done. New era is here. Also, 2025 is not supposed to be all fun. You know what this feels like? Do I want to say that? Interesting. Spirits. Oh my goodness. Okay. Yeah, sure. I can talk about it. Okay. So before, this is going to be some prerequisite information. This feels like a dark truth, secret truth. We're going to root through it and see what happens. Feels like it's necessary. I'll say with it, love you, the darkness. That's true. Speaking of, hold on. Oh, that's it? That's his logo? Okay. We'll leave it. Love you, the darkness. Before March of 2020, before COVID, there was a couple different times at the bar job. I was a bartender and a key holder, so I closed down the restaurant sometimes. Friday nights, that was my night. I closed. Always made really good money, but, closing the bar, I wasn't out sometimes till like 1 to 3 in the morning. And it was a restaurant. We weren't even like a bar. We weren't even like a bar. We were like a sit-down restaurant that had a bar in it. So I wasn't like a nightlife bar. It was like people brought their families to eat. But it was looked pretty busy. Sometimes I didn't get out till like 1 to 3. Okay, just for reference. There's a couple times I was walking behind the bar. Sometimes you just know things. There's a couple times I was walking behind the bar, and I just had this knowing hit me. I was putting the glasses up. Nobody was there anymore. Or there's like a couple people floating around, but there wasn't any people, how do I say this? Customers, like people who would come in and sit and eat at the restaurant. Nobody was there. And it happened twice. I was walking, and it was just this knowing. The first time it happened, I stopped walking. I stopped in my tracks. I stopped. And it was just this, like, I'm not going to be here very much longer. That was like October of 2019. Maybe September, October 2019. And then come November or December, it was like very shortly after that. Felt like a long time because, living life day to day, sometimes things feel like they take longer, but in retrospect, it wasn't really that long. I had the same feeling. I was like, I'm not going to be here for very much longer. Okay, well, I felt that twice now, so it's true. And I, at the time, was looking at where I had always wanted to just work for myself. Hello. And I didn't know what that looked like or what that meant. And so I had started shifting my schedule at work, and like I started getting things set up in the background. Hired interns too, 2 of them, crazy. And then March of 2020 came through and all this chaos started to happen. All this chaos. I have not the words for it for a short story, but it was a chaotic time. All this chaos started to happen. Then we go through and we have, so it's like the societal shifts of COVID. There was a lot of personal things that happened because of that. Then we have the societal shifts of the protesting around that summer. There's a lot of personal things in a lot of people's lives that shifted because of that. Then we have things start to shift into place. That's a good way to say that, I suppose. Shift into place around like October to December through January of that next year. Shift into place. We got to get kind of put in a position then based on what happened during those events. Shifting into place. And it feels like when I was saying earlier, sometimes we just know things. There's about to be some shifts. Okay. There's about to be some shifts. That's what it feels like. There's about to be some shifts. Unexpected. Shifts unexpected. Not me a couple of days ago going through so many different unexpected things. When I went in to get this sweater, let me not tell that story actually. Never mind. Let me keep it to myself. Let me keep it to myself. Gonna be some shifts because that's what it feels like. I feel like right now I'm sitting at the time before COVID happened, and I had those knowings. And I was like, I'm not going to be here for very much longer. I know in those moments. I was like, yeah, I know. I have no questions about it. I know that I'm not going to be here for very much longer. Couldn't explain it to you. There's a bunch of chaos that happened to get me to that place. Sometimes I just know things. What is it that I know? And I don't have the words for it right now. Am I going to have words for it? It would be delightful if I did. It would be delightful if I did. I would love to have some words. I would love to have some words for it. You got words for me? Anybody? Not anybody. Let me not just call on anybody. No. That was a joke. Haha. We'll laugh about it. Okay. Turning back into a direction that actually works for me. Okay. Yeah, because I do. I feel like I just know something, but I'm not even really, it's like, I know. I guess that's true. I do have an understanding. There are a couple things I just know about. Well, then I'll just let it rest. I guess I just needed to see that. I do just know some things. Interesting. Don't know how it's going to happen. Don't know how I'm going to get there, but sometimes I know something. Maybe. Are you sure? Am I sure? that happened too around that time when the first time it happened. I was like, I'm not going to be here for very much longer. I was like, yeah, I know that. That makes sense. Obviously, like my heart and my spirit was like, I know that. Duh. But then I was like, but how though? Like, I don't understand how that's going to work. That's real funny. Yeah, that's real funny. There are some things I just know, and I can see them. I'm not going to share them because I don't speak about things if they haven't happened yet. With the way that my magic works, it doesn't work if I talk about it. So I'm not going to talk about it. But there are some things I can see in my head right now. I'm like, I just know. So I guess I just need to let it grow. That's true. My goodness. Is there something else that needs to come through? I was going to pull some cards over here. But I don't feel like I need to. I felt like I just need to pick those up to tell the story and put them back down. Is there anything else that y'all want to know? Anything else you want to talk about? Anything before we go? You got any questions before we're done? Anything you want to say? Anything you want to? I don't know what it would be, but if you know, you know. The shrugs. It is. How cozy, dude, it's so cozy. And I found out too that it's like stretchy. I didn't mean to buy it. It's like, I thought it was just going to be like a, how do I say? Just a cozy, comfy sweater, you know? But it's like, hold on, let me show you. Watch this. Watch this. But then it like retains its shape and retains its form. That's crazy to me. It's so cozy. It's so cozy. I don't normally buy things for myself like that I don't need, just because I've learned like I've had to learn how to live in survival for a long time. Wow, that sentence was difficult to speak. But I'm learning where I am now that sometimes it's all right to just go and like buy yourself something nice if you want it. Just go, like it's okay to do that with where I am right now. It wasn't at one point. It put me with other points in my life. It would put me in like positions of danger or placements of danger financially. But right now, I'm at a point where like it's a safe thing and a fun thing sometimes to just be able to go and buy myself things occasionally that I would like to enjoy. And I was picking up things I needed the other day from the store, and I was like, you know what? I am just going to walk around. I'm just going to do that because I haven't done that in a long time. So I'm going to do that. And I saw this sweater and I was like, it's cozy. I haven't had a cozy sweater. I have a lot of black sweaters and I have a lot of like black clothing, which I love, but I don't have any colors really. And I've been wanting to get into some more kind of like colorful things. So I saw it and I was like, it's comfy. It's super cozy. It's so comfortable. I love a good cozy, curl me up, cozy. You know, I love it. It's so good, so good, so good. Yeah. God, thanks. Yeah, this is Tulsi actually. Which is holy basil. Yeah. This is I'm how do I explain this? I haven't had a meditation practice in a long time that includes this very specific sort of tool. But recently, there's a strand of beads that I had long time ago, 2018, and I would meditate on them pretty frequently. Pretty frequently. It was not this big. This is probably the biggest one that I've ever had. This is big. The beads are big, the knots are big. This is big. It's a big circle, big cycle. And the other one though, it broke, like I was meditating on it and it just broke surprisingly. Like it just kind of out of nowhere. It just like, boop, okay, I'm done. Whoa. And recently that has come to ground full circle. There was a moment where I was like brought back to the memory of it, that cycle closing in 2018. And it's like, okay, the cycle's closed now. Like I walked through everything I needed to and the cycle's closed now. So when that happened, I was like, I need to get some new for myself, enter the new cycles. It's time to do that. So I have this one and I have another one that's being shipped from overseas. And that one is going to be more, it's a different lesson. They're each in their own lesson. Interesting, actually, crossover of the two of them that I would get them at the same time. But this has been an interesting, it's been an interesting lesson so far. Lots of connecting to the mothers, lots of connecting to the womb, lots of connection of understanding motherhood, lots of connection of understanding, how do I explain it? Like regarding the mothers, revering motherhood, regarding motherhood as like a highly, highly regarded, highly revered experience or sort of preface. It's different. It's different. It's the other lessons that I have kind of picked up, the other cycles I've picked up in my life have been to intentionally like sit with them and learn from them, have been more, some of them were very intentional and I was going through things where I needed to break a cycle. Some of them were more exploratory and just wondering about things. But this one, I was looking online and I was like, I know that if I get on Etsy and I scroll, I'm going to find something that resonates with me. So let me just do that. So I did. And then I was like, I got some ideas. I was like, okay, well, what about this? Let me go look that up and see if there's anything about it. Okay, what about this? Let me go look that up. And I found this one. And the way that I felt when I was looking at the photo, it was this feeling of like, reverent clearness in a way that I have not ever experienced it. And in a way that I knew in the moment, sometimes you just know things. There was a knowing of like, I know I need this. I know I need this. So I ordered it for myself. And yeah, it's only been here for like around a week now. I haven't had it for much longer than that. It's been because it shipped over from India. So I haven't had it for very long, but it's very different. It's very, very different. It's very different. It's very different. It's very different. It is very different. It is very different. It is very different. It's very, 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 very different. I'm not gonna reveal anything else about it because it's a very, very like, how do I say? It's just a very reverent, very, 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 very. It's closed actually for me on a personal level. It's a personally closed thing. Yeah. So, but it's been very interesting. It's very different. It's very different. It's very. I'm going to be a very different person when this cycle is done. It'll be very different. My life will be very different. I will be very different in a way that I need it. I need it to be different in the way that this is different. So it'll be very, very different. And I'm grateful for the very, very differentness of it. Yes. And I'm very grateful also for the learnings that it has brought me so far. It's different recently. Like when I started studying, how do I explain this? Like spiritual things, I was very young. I was a kid. But my childhood aside, that's a part of the story, yes, but I was getting to a different part of my life. When I was like 18, I was going through some really, really, really difficult emotional things. There was family instability, and there was a lot of other like, again, we're not going to get too deep into it, but it was like really hard. It was a really, really hard time for me. And so one of my friends who recently I described her, we don't really talk anymore, but at the time she was like the small, short, angry feminist lesbian. Love her. She introduced me to yoga. And she knew that I was struggling. She knew that I was going through some things that were hard. And she was like, yeah, I do it to like help me ground. She did not have like a very good home life for the description I just gave, she grew up in a family where that was like not an okay thing to be. And so her life specifically was very difficult because of that. And she introduced me to yoga and the practice of yoga. So I started studying and I started like reading about it. I started practicing, and it was a lot of light work when I started. It was that. And then I was like leaning into it for healing purposes and healing practices. And I did light work for a long time, like years and years. I was reading books, and it was light. It was in the light. It was light. It was bright. And then I walked through like 3.5 or 4 years in the previous several years of being in like the darkest dark. So it's like I've experienced the really light, and I've experienced the dark, like the really dark. And now, because recently my priestesshood has been consecrated, it's been confirmed, it's been finalized, it's been firmed. It's firm now. It's not up in transition. I'm not in it's like rooted here on the earth now. And I'm very grateful for that. And because of that shift, I've been kind of offered this space of like, okay, you're not stuck in this like extremism anymore. So you can lean back into the light work. You can lean back into these more like light practices that are not necessarily as shadowed as what you've been experiencing. So I have been, and returning to some of my own personal fundamentals that I developed throughout the years of meditation and like the different body practices and like health food practices. It's been very different. It's been a strange sort of like transition to go from that extreme light into the extreme dark. And now I have both of them together. And I'm learning how to revere both of the paths at the same time, because the dark that I know and the dark that I understand, some of it I don't need to grow, but understand and revere. That is true. Some of that darkness is dark enough that it's like stuff I can't bring here where we're at. Some of it's dark enough that I can't do that. And some of the light stuff that I know is light enough that I can't bring it here either. So it's like I have to find a place in the middle where what I'm working with, which is part of, I was talking about the transitions of like what I'm teaching on my YouTube earlier and like how things might be changing in the next several months. Because once January, like the end of January, it's time. Spirit keeps showing me like it's like a foot on the gas pedal. Like I'm going to be flooring it for a while, which I've been asking for. So I'm grateful for that. But I'm really like, I need to find it's just a practice. I'm like redefining my practice, because when you're in the extremes for so long, like being in the extreme light for so long is very different than being in the extreme dark for so long. So now I'm having to reroute my practice, reroute we didn't get off path. We just need to reroute it, reroute the practice. And so bringing back the fundamentals that I kind of grew up with or grew up on. Because I remember as a kid, I was bullied by Christians. I was bullied by the Christian, which I have, do as you do. It is not for me to tell you who you are and what to do. But as a kid, I was bullied by Christians. So as a child, like 6, 7 years old, I was coming home asking like, what is God and what is an atheist? And like, I was asking these like really, really big questions. And after I remember my dad, I'm so grateful for him. I remember because he left the church and it's a long story. I'm not going to get too deep into my ancestral like victories and roots within that. And also, my father left the church after having been in the church space for like 17 years. Okay. And then he went into like some spiritual things. So when I showed up, he was like, we're going to very specifically give them the room to kind of, me and my sister, give them the room to just kind of discover who they are and figure out what they believe in. They're allowed to believe whatever they want to. It's their path, and I'm not going to tell them what to do. That was kind of the setup of spiritualness that I had in my life. So as a 6 or 7-year-old coming home asking questions about what is God and what is an atheist and like, why are these kids making fun of me? After a while, because I just kept asking questions, I'm always like that. I've always been like that. I always have questions. So after I kept asking questions, he went and got me the book Jonathan the Seagull, which is I can't remember if it's Buddhist or Taoist based, but it's like a philosophical thing. Like a seagull realizes he's a seagull. I think I read it at such a young age. I don't remember it anymore really, but that was my first introduction to anything spiritual. Jonathan the Seagull, interesting. And then from there, after I finished that book, I was like, yeah, that was actually really interesting. And he was like, okay, well now go read the Tao of Piglet. Go read that. And the Tao Pooh. I read those as a kid too. And then I ended up doing like some other projects and like some other. I've always been super interested in the spirit. That's true. But anyways, so those are like when I was talking about my childhood stuff. That's like where my origins of things in my life come from, as well as there's some dark magic that happened before that I am probably not going to get into on here right now. But yeah, go enjoy the day. Enjoy the day for sure. So good. Yes, the transition is different. It is different. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. The transition from maiden to mother, for those of you who can't read it on TikTok, the comment says the transition in mother energy has been so different for me as well. My spiritual path has changed so much since I transitioned from maiden to mother. It's so different. I have not the words to explain how different it is. In my maiden energy, okay, well, but I'm going to try. I might have some words. In the totality, though, I don't have the words because as a maiden, I was always up. I was up and I was going. I was growing. I was flowing. I was up. I was up, flying high in the sky. And now within the mother energy that I sit in, it's like grounded. You don't move if you don't need to. Grounded. That's true. The mothers don't move if they don't need to. I'm grateful for that experience of understanding. Interesting. Yeah, the mothers don't move if they don't need to. That's one thing interesting because in February, the mothers coming through telling us get up with the astrology, the astrological stuff that's going on. Get up. It's time to get up, kids. You got to get up. We got stuff to do. Get up. Mother energy coming through end of January, end of February. No, not only for you is there stuff to do. It's like stuff to do for people, stuff to do for the environment, stuff to do. It's stuff to do. We got stuff to do. Let's go. We got to go. And so it's like, I feel very stern about that. There's like a sternness in it. When there's sternness, we learn. Stern, learn. Clock it as necessary. But interesting to revere like mothers don't move if they don't need to. Yeah, I'm not getting up if I don't need to get up. Literally every time I come and sit here and I'm like getting everything ready to work, I do that before I sit down. I'm like, okay, do I have eat, whether it's here or going to sleep? I got my couch back here if I'm going to sit down and like, whatever I'm doing back there. So I do that though. That's real interesting. I haven't really thought about it like that. Yeah, I'm making sure I got my food, I got my coffee, I got my drinks, I got my water, anything else I need. What do I need before I sit down? Because once I sit my butt on a chair, I'm not getting up if I don't need to get up. And it even bothers me, like, how do I say, like, even if I got to use the restroom or like I got to get up and do something, like, but I got to get up now. Like that's me and my mother energy is like, I'm not getting up if I don't need to get up. I'll get up, I'll go, but I'm not getting up if I don't need to. I got to learn to ground in it. That's been the biggest difference for me. I don't know about what your difference is, but that's been one of the biggest. And it's interesting too cuz there's a lot of me in here that wants to get up and fly and like do still like wants to return to the maiden. And there's been kind of like a grief that I've had to sit with. Is it grief? Maybe partially, yeah. A grief I've had to sit with of like, I'm not ever going to be that person again. Like once you make the transition into mother, you don't return. Once you make the transition into mother, you do not become a maiden again. Like that's a period of your life and then that's it and it's over. So it's very different, it's very, very different. It's very different. A little death. Yeah, it is. A little death. It's a big death, honestly. A whole entire person I was is gone. That's a large death. At least for me, that's how motherhood went. It needed to be. It needed to be, and I revere it. That's true. A little death feels little in the, feels a little, but it's really big. It feels a little on a day-to-day thing, but it's really big. It's really big. The mother energy is really big. Just an entire life change, no big. LOL. 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 Somebody asked if I'm a mom now. For clarity's purpose, there's 2 different pregnancies that I've been in, but none of my children at this current moment are living. So do with that information what you will, because I'm not trying to get, on the internet by the. It is. Yeah. So much grounding, I would say. The grief for sure resonates, It's true, It felt big for me. It's a big shift. It's a big shift. Reverence to the maiden. Reverence to the maiden for sure. Gratitude, reverence, and love to you, maiden. Think about I give reverence to the mothers all the time. I don't think I've ever sat and given reverence to the maiden. I'm gonna do that right now. Gratitude, reverence, and love to you, maiden. Gratitude, reverence, and love to you, maiden, for everything that you offer and everything that you were, everything that you are, and everything that is her. Gratitude, reverence, and love to the maiden. That's for sure. Gratitude, reverence, and love to the maiden. If you are her, if you are a maiden, gratitude, reverence, and love to you. Gratitude, reverence, and love to the mothers who bring the maidens through. That's also true. Thank you. Gratitude, reverence, and love to the maidens who come through. Gratitude, reverence, and love for what the maidens usher through, because the maidens, they usher, that's for sure. Gratitude, reverence, and love to the ushering spirit of the maiden. Gratitude, reverence, and love for the maidens who are ushered into motherhood. And gratitude, reverence, and love, honor, glory, elevation, and love, truth, and free. Thank you for ushering me, the mothers, into a motherhood from the maiden in honor, glory, elevation, gratitude, reverence, and love, truth, and free. I'll revere that. Thank you. What a beautiful experience to become a mother, into the mother. To become a mother, to become a mother. Oh my goodness. Thank you for that spark of inspiration. Spark of inspiration. My wow. My goodness. I was gonna say my goodness, but then I want to say my wow. My wow. My wow. Whoa. My wow. I'm gonna pull some more fake cards. Necessary. Let's look. 2 of Cups, grounding. Not just reversed. 2 of Cups. Something about to make your heart burst. It is the full moon in Cancer. Okay. It is the full moon in Cancer. Oh my goodness. Sometimes they're phases. Sometimes they are phases. That is true. Yes. Wow. Interesting. Something about to make your heart burst. 5 of Cups. Something for thirst. The Magician is grounding through the deck. Something else you have to check. Something else you have to check. The Magician is grounding through the deck. Something else you have to check. Actually, let me pull that up for myself. I'm not probably gonna. Hold on for me. Let me go have a look at this. Something else I gotta check. You want me to check this out? I haven't checked this in a long time, actually. Hold on. Interesting. Something else you have to check? I'll have to go check that. I'll have to go check that. I don't know when, how, where. I don't know. I'll find it though. I don't know. I'll find it though. I'll have to email them. That's all right. Okay. Interesting. Something else you have to check. Also, something else you have to check. Something else you have to check. Something else you have to. It feels urgent, but not urgent like safety, or not urgent like a. It feels like you left a pot of water boiling on the stove, and if you don't go get it, it's gonna boil over. That's what this feels like. So not urgent, and nothing bad is gonna happen if you like don't. Sometimes the pot has got to boil over a little for us to even realize that it's boiling over. Something else you have to check: the magician grounding in the deck. A card you can play. What does your Magick have to say? Okay, rhymes. Thank you. Magick is grounding in the magician, not the magic. You're the magician. You're the card. You're the card. Oh, how are you playing yourself? Not necessarily playing yourself as in like letting people play with you. Not that. Not playing yourself as in a negative thing. Like sometimes we play ourselves by lying to ourselves. I do not. Let me rethink that phrase. I have though in other moments, but I'm not going to do that anymore for specific clarity's purpose. True. Sometimes, oh my gosh, it's 4:00. Crazy. Okay. Let me keep up with the talking and the walking. Magician grounding in the deck. How are you gonna, as in like if you were a card, how are you gonna play it? How are you gonna play the card? How are you gonna play yourself? Where are you showing up? Where are you placing yourself? Where are you not just placing yourself? This is true for how are you gonna play yourself? How are you gonna place yourself? Two of Cups grounding, a heart that is full. Five of Cups grounding. Well, Five of Cups. It's like a heart burst. Something to make your heart burst. Something that happened for the worst is about to make your heart burst. Something that happened for the worst is about to make your heart burst. But it's like, how do I say? It's not the worst heart burst. It's like a heart burst of like overdone. Something that has not been fun finally is done. And so the heartburst can be fun. The heartburst can be fun. The heartburst can be something a victory has won. Two of Cups grounding, a heart that is full. Two of Cups grounding, the pouring in. The pouring in, it's like cups can runneth over again. Cups can runneth over again. Let the people start to come in. The cups can runneth over again. The magician is a card in the deck. Something else you have to check. Something else you have to check. Let me pull another card. Literally me doing this, saying, let's pull one. The body's wisdom is interesting. Seven of Wands. Seven of Wands, a completion comes through. Not just a completion. Focus those two. A completion comes through. Why are you asking me to talk about this right now? Projects. Okay. Projects. The Lovers. I saw somebody adding spice to a dish. Spice it up. Spice to a dish. Saw somebody adding spice to a dish. It's like, yeah, this is good, but like, I want spice in this. Yeah, this is good, but like, I want the heat. It's not just the heat, it's the spice. Spicy. Give me the heat. Spicy. Something to help you stay on your feet. Spicy. There's another one. Oh. Wands King. Something about a string. Wands King is how do you want me to pronounce that? Let me put the cards down. This is a whole nother prophetic message. My great goodness. Also, speaking of not getting up unless I need to, I'm My stomach is hungry. I want to sit with this message, but I need to get food. So give me just a second. I'm not going to eat in front of your face. I'm going to get myself a protein drink, and then I'm going to come sit back right down. I'm going to come sit back right down, and then we can keep it moving and grooving. Digest this message together. That's the truth. That's the truth. Give me the spice. The spice. Give me the spice. What about the spice? Give me the spice. Give me the spice. Also, taking your own advice, give me the spice. Taking your own advice, give me the spice. How hot do you want it? You know when you like go to restaurants and they have like different levels of spicy, you could get it this level of spicy or this level of spicy. That's what that reminds me of. How spicy do you want it? Take your own advice. Take your own advice. Because you're the one who's got to eat the meal. You're the one who's got to eat it. How spicy do you want it? Let them know. How spicy do you want it? Because you got to eat. You got to be nourished, you know? Okay, so 2 of Cups, grounding. 5 of Cups through. Magicians. Magicians, plural. We were talking about one person. What? We got 2? We got 2? I guess it is multiple crossings on here. The Magician comes through. How are you going to play you? What I see is like you being a card that's inserted into other people's decks. Oh, it reminds me. Remember, I was talking about Dochi songs earlier. Her songs have been kind of divinatory recently for me. There's I don't remember the song this is from, but she's like, if you shuffle the cards, I'm at the top of the deck. If you shuffle the cards, I'm at the top of the deck. For me, clearly she's talking about tarot stuff or like, you know, like a divinatory sort of card work. You shuffle the cards, I'm at the top of the deck. Like I'm the card at the top of the deck. That's what this reminds me of. It's like how are you going to play yourself? Whose decks of cards are you putting yourself into? Whose decks of cards are you putting yourself into? Is it 1? Is it 2? Is it groups? Who are you giving your card to? Who are you giving your card to? Could be business cards for some people. Interesting. Who are you giving your card to? You shuffle the cards. I'm at the top of the deck. I'm at the top of the deck. I'm the card you need. Also, that's how I feel about that. I'm the card you need. So who are you giving your card to? Because whoever it is, like you are needed there. You are needed there. Oh, you're needed there. Interesting. 7 of Wands. A project is through. 7 of Wands. Something of crew. Projects and crew. Projects, also project, to project something. Project being creation, planned creation, project, creation. 7 of Wands. Project is through, a crew. Crew is through too. A project is through, a crew is through too. Now that you're on to project number through, two. Now that you're on to project number 2, the words, my gosh. Now that you're on to project number 2, also a new crew number 2 is now to come through. Crew could be the people supporting the project. Crew could be the people around you as friends. Crew could be people. Crew who? Also reminds me of crow. Crew. I saw a crow when I said that. Crew. There's a video I saw on TikTok recently. For whatever reason, it's popping into my mind right now. Talk about it. There's a video I saw. I reposted it. You might have seen. If you follow me on TikTok, you might have seen it. It was a video of ravens by the thousands. Hundreds. Looked like at least 1,000. I don't know how many there were. It was a lot. It was so many. When I saw that, I was one of those knowing moments where I was like, there's a lot that's about to change and I have absolutely no idea what it's going to be. I have absolutely no idea. I don't know, but it's changing. I don't know what it is, but it's changing. So 7 of Wands, the project through, the crew is through, project number 2 and crew number 2. Project through, crew through. It's like there's not an end to it. It's just on. It's just on. Project, what is gone is gone. Now you're on project on. Onward. Project on. The 6, the Lovers. 7 of Wands, the 6. 6, the Lovers. Again, the spice and the heat. Something to complete, something to compete. Could be like competitiveness between people. If you're going to compete, listen, competition is a seed of war. If you're going to compete, you compete in love. That's a rule that I root for. If you're going to compete, you compete in love. Because competition is a seed of war. So if you compete in love, you can love the competition. You can love the people there. You can be a lover. Also, the heat too. Heat. What does heat bring through? It speeds things up. Sometimes it can bring through more healing. It can bring through more heart. What else does heat do? But this is like, I feel like a class discussion. What does heat do for you? What does heat do for you? What else? Heat brings in. It brings in. Interesting. It ushers in heat. The heat. Yeah, you're welcome. The expansion, true. Thank you. The sweat, that's true. It cooks, literally, actually. Didn't think about it like that because I was seeing like a spice, but you're right. It does cook. It does. It does. The heat cooks, and that's a chemical transference. What happens when you? Thank you so much for your words. What happens when you chemically transfer something? What happens when you It's like baking a cake. If you're putting food on heat, you can't go back. You can't go back. That's what this lovers card is. It's like whatever this lovers is for you in your life, whether it's a person, a group of people, there's probably more than one. There's probably more than one. It's time for love to see the sun. Okay. Probably more than one. So the people that you're around, that you're sharing your love with now, it's like once you start sharing your love with them, you can't go back. It's going to change you. There's a heat transference process. You're going to be different. To transform something, to be in transition and become firm, and firm through the transition, transforming, different, transforming. Then we have the Wands King. Something about a ring, something about a string, something else for them to bring. Something about a ring, something about a string, something else for them to bring. Wands King. What does the Wands King do? That's the heat card. That's the heat card. Don't think too hard. That's the heat card. The heat card, Wands King. What kind of heat does the other people bring in your life? Or if this is like an actual lover situation, what kind of heat do they bring? Because that's the kind of heat that's going to change you. Also related to a crew or a group of people, the heat that you're around is what changes you. So think it through. If you love the heat, there's different kinds of heat. That's true. There's different kinds of heat in the world. If there's different kinds of heat in the world. There's heats that are not so kind. Keep me blind to it. Keep my eyes closed. There's heats that are lovely, though. If you're around heat that makes you feel complete, make it more than a sweet treat. Have it be a meal. But if you're around a heat that makes you feel like, oh, I can't compete, or I can't, the spirit's not wanting you to fight. It is a birthright to fight. So if you're around spirits of heat that make you feel like you can't compete, get on up out of there. Get on up out of there. Don't get on up out of there. Oh my goodness. There's more to share. Hold on. We got some more cards coming through. Must be careful and stay vulnerable as the King of Wands. You know what? That's a valid point. Oh, we're sitting with this deck now? Totally thought I picked up the other deck of cards. Interesting. Also, warmth. Others' body heat warms us who are freezing. Interesting. Spirit's been having me sit with fire and ice recently. Interesting. Whoa. I don't know if you saw that, but I got to pick it up now. Hold on. What do we got? Something landed. The mother's ground. Something still about a mother's surround sound. Something still about a mother's surround sound. Listen, when is it going to be done? Is it going to be done? You got a mother surround sound, okay? Is it going to be fun? Y'all going to be around for fun? Because I'm really tired of being around the mothers and like getting hurt. It would be great to have the mothers around and have some fun. You got the mother surround sound. Serious work needs to be done also. That's true. So I give reverence and gratitude to you. Let me laugh a little bit as a kid, you know. I suppose that's true. Mother surround sound. Something to ground the mother's surround sound. Something you cannot see, not yet. Think about it carefully. Also, didn't you just say careful? Yes. Think about it carefully. When is the moon occulting Mars? Hold on. That's a great question. I feel like it's necessary for us to see that. We've got the moon right now is at 23 degrees. The moon goes oh, we're in the exact full moon right now. Technically, probably a half an hour, but still, hold on. Let's go to a couple hours from now. The moon moves real quick for the final couple degrees of it being in Cancer. Interesting. They're going to exact at... Come on. Give me another one. Give me another one. Hold on. We're going to get there. We're going to get there together. Thanks for your patience. We're going to get there clever together. Okay. Closer. Give me another 30 minutes on that one. They're exact around, give me the time that is here. This is going to be Eastern time zone. Oh, thank you. It's going to be Eastern time zone around 22:44 tonight. So around 10:40-ish tonight, Eastern time zone is when the moon is going to be exact Mars. Around that time. That's not an exact, but they're going to be at the same degree at that time without going into the decimal points of the degree. So yes. Interesting. Let's clear this. I feel hold on. There's a clearing, revering, some more to come through. Other information. We need these ones. Ooh. Swords King. Hold on. You asked for UTC time. Give me a second. Let me go back. January 14th at 3:44 a.m. UTC. Around that. Yeah. Swords King. Lots of King energy. We had the King of Wands. Swords King. Swords King grounding. Someone has an idea. I see somebody having, it's I haven't, someone has an idea. Swords King is, someone has an idea. Is it you? Who? Is it you? You? Someone has an idea. I see them having this idea, and I see them, if this is the idea, I see them doing this. They have an idea. But they're going to reveal it at the right place at the right time. Somebody has an idea. Is it you? Is it somebody around you? Swords King. Who's got it? Who's got the idea? Swords King. Whoever the Swords King is, they've got an idea. No more new perspectives after this idea comes through. Idea that's going to be presented to you. Here, I have this idea. What do you think about it? I have this idea. How do you feel? No, this is not necessarily feeling. What do you think about this idea? I need your opinion on this. I have this idea. This is a vulnerable thing too. This is vulnerable. The idea, whatever this is, vulnerable. This is vulnerable. Someone being vulnerable. Someone who has very, very skilled mental capabilities. Someone who has not always been revered with their mental capabilities. Think about how alone one has to be a king or a queen. You got to be very alone. You have to be isolated. There's people around you. You have things to do. You have responsibilities. But to be in that responsibility, there's only one king. There's only one queen. There's only one. So you're alone in that. So someone who keeps their ideas to themselves. Someone who says, no, these are my ideas. This is my responsibility. These are my ideas. This is for me. This is not for anybody else. They're going to present to you an idea. Someone who usually doesn't say anything. Someone who normally keeps to themselves. Someone who normally says zilch, not enough, and zero. Someone who thinks a lot. Someone who maybe part of this too is like maybe hasn't been revered in their ideas. It's like they have an idea, but somebody, you ever told an idea to somebody who doesn't have the same, they don't have the same vision as you, or they can't think the same way? They can't see it. They can't see it. You ever done that? They've done that. This person, whoever this is, the Swords King around you, whether that's you or somebody who's near you, because you could be the one holding on to an idea and you're like, when do I say something? When do I say something? For me, on a personal level, I feel like this is someone looking at me saying I have an idea. But for other people, it could be different. You could be the one with the idea. It depends on if you are the Swords King or if you are being approached by the Swords King. King of Swords. Okay. Someone who doesn't normally meet people who think like them, someone who feels isolated within their thoughts, and someone who has shared their thoughts in innocence, thinking that they were going to be met and with reciprocation and hasn't been. So they've learned to guard their mind. They've learned to guard their head. They've learned to leave things unsaid. I'm not going to talk about it then because other people don't revere it. I'm not going to talk about it because it's not for you. I'm not going to talk about it. No, Spirit told me. God told me. They didn't tell you. I'm not going to tell you then. It's for me. But there's a person around you who said, I have an idea. I have an idea. I have an idea, and I want to share it with you. It's like possible, not probable. It's possible. It's possible that the idea will be shared. Probable for some, possible for true. Possible. I have an idea. I have an idea. Is it possible to do with you? And that's what they're trying to figure out. Interesting. They're going to reach a point where there's no new perspectives. And once they share this idea, no new perspectives are needed. They don't need input. They don't need feedback. This is what I want to do. Are you in? What do you think about it? What do you think about it? This is what I want. This is what I want. This is what I want. And I don't need to think about it. I don't need your input. If you want to change it, that is not for me. That is not for me. I don't need to change my idea. This is like a dream, honestly. This is a dream. This is like something very important, something very highly revered by the person who has this idea. If they share it with you, they don't need feedback. Well, I would change this or I would do. No. They're trying to make sure that you're not going to do that. They don't want to change. They want it exactly how it is. They've been trying to find another person to share the idea with for a long time. For like a long time. Are you the person? Are you? Are you going to share the idea? Are you going to share the idea? You have an idea. Are you going to share the idea? It's like both people have ideas. It's the same idea, pretty much. Almost exactly the same. It's pretty much almost exactly the same idea. That is ridiculous. It's, how do I say this? Remember how I said, like, no, Spirit gave that idea to me. I'm not telling anybody. No, Spirit gave this. It's like a protective mechanism for the ideas. No, Spirit gave that to me. I'm not telling anybody. No, God gave me that idea. I'm not telling anybody. That's for me. I'm not telling you. If it was your idea, they would have told you, but they didn't tell you, so it's mine. It's not even like a ha-ha, na-na situation. It's just like, no, this is very serious, and this is my idea. It's like two different entities or beings who think like that and have those ideas. It's like their spiritual mental capacity is very highly revered, is what I hear about that. But they don't normally meet other people like that. They don't normally meet other people who think like that or are revered in the spirit mentally like that. So it's like making sure, are you that kind of mature? Are you that kind of mature? There's about to be no more extra information needed. Also, too, this is a grounding, like the way that this line structure on this card works, it's grounding. So it's like something's grounding. When there's no new perspectives needed, and it's like, no, this is true. This is the person. Yeah. Interesting. I love it. It's so good. Interesting. What else needs to be said about this? Because it feels like there's a little bit more information. The stars grounding. This is an interesting card, and I did this on purpose. This is the card upright, but look at that. The landscape's upside down. So when the star grounds, we're actually in the right side up position. Isn't that great? I love it. So it landed upside down. So we're in the right side up position. The star is grounding. This is another one of those interesting cards. If you were in here earlier for me talking about the Empress, this is another one that has only one missing. Only one of them. Only one of the lines to make 9 is missing. This one is about your choice and your will and how it's going to be offered to the spirits. How's it going to be given up to the sky? Also, how could they be needing you to ground something here in the physical right now? They being whoever's on your team, these other people that are near you, this other person who thinks like you, has this idea with you. The star is grounding. The star is grounding. A chariot arrives. What I see is like, oh my gosh, let's talk about it. Oh my gosh. What I see is, you know, in the story Cinderella, how they turn the pumpkin into a carriage, but the illusion breaks at midnight. It's like a part of the spell. The chariot, this is interesting. You've been in so many pumpkin chariots. You thought it was this beautiful chariot, this beautiful ride. Turns out, eventually, the illusion is broken, and now you're sitting on the side of the road with a pumpkin and some other person. And you're like, this is not what I signed up for. I did not sign up for a pumpkin. Love pumpkins, revere them. And I wanted more than that. I asked for more than that. And you said you had more than that. You liar. You liar. You lied to me. And you've been in so many of those pumpkin carriages that now that you're like in a real one or about to be in a real carriage, you're kind of looking around being like, when is this going to become a pumpkin? This has to be a joke. I literally was saying to people, like 2 days ago, I was like, life is so good right now that I feel like someone's going to pop out of the corner and be like, haha, you're on punked. Like, I feel like it's going to be like some joke. I feel like somebody's going to come up and it's just going to be some joke. Haha, caught you on camera. You thought things were going great. Just kidding. It's not true though. You've been in so many pumpkin carriages that now that you have the real one, the one that's actually made of the metal and the one that's actually made with the diamonds and the like stones that are set, and you're actually, now that you're actually in that, you're looking around and you're wondering like, maybe it wasn't me. Maybe I'm not the reason all those carriages turned into pumpkins. Maybe I'm not the reason they turned into pumpkins. Maybe they turned into pumpkins because other people's magic work was illusionary. It was elusive. Maybe it wasn't actually about me. Maybe I understood the whole entire time. You can't play me. You can't play me. Don't play in my face like that. No. You told me you were going to give me this grand carriage and you got me a pumpkin. I should smash it on your head. Jokingly. So now you're in a real carriage. You're in a real carriage with a real person with real magic. Interesting. Huh. Interesting. The chariot and the star. How do I explain that? Let me take a step back for a second. They're similar. The star is like the heart that drives the chariot. The chariot, my goodness. The chariot, carrots of gold. Carrots, chariot. Okay, understood. The star is the heart that drives the chariot. So you're in a real chariot. There's another card. Hold on. It's like dreams come true. Maybe also the Swords King, because I was talking about this being an idea. This like someone has an idea for you. Could be Spirit has an idea for you. Hey kid, here's the idea. You've been waiting for this. Here's the idea. I said that earlier about my own personal journey. I was like, I'm waiting for the idea. Okay, thanks. Appreciate you. Interesting. What else about this? The chariot. The chariot. 6 of Wands. Something ground. Something that will bring around. Something profound. Around? Interesting. Something that will bring around. Something profound. 6 of Wands. Something to ground. There's another one. Something to ground. 4 of Wands. Okay. Y'all know what the 4 of Wands card is? You want me to say that on live stream? Goodness golly. 4 of Wands is the marriage card. It's like the commitment. 6 of Wands. Honestly, don't remember what the like traditional picture right now is. Hold on. Let me flip through my deck. My other deck. 7 of Wands, because 6 of Swords is like leaving something. Where are you? 6 of Wands, 6 of Wands. The 8 of Wands, we're ushering stuff through. 6 of Wands, 3 of Wands, that's true. The World, opportunity, nope, not those. Man, I forgot how much I love this deck of cards. Spirit had me pull. This is the first deck of cards I ever got for myself. And this is the first deck of cards I ever got read with also. It's not the same deck, but it's the same design. Interesting. 6 of Wands is leadership. Oh, okay. Got it. Okay, thanks. Cool. Interesting. It's like someone being a leader of the people. A leader leads. A leader leads. 6 of Wands. Something to ground. Something profound. Leadership position coming through for you. Leadership position coming through. Somebody's got an idea. Who has the idea? Whoever's offering this idea to you says it's time for you to lead now. There's a leadership quality that you have. There's a leadership position that you have. Do you want it? I have an idea. First, from me, I'm going to say this. This feels like more than one area of my life. This feels like this whole reading is applicable to more than one area of my life. So it's like, for me, what I see, just for reference and relevance of where this could be applicable, for me, it feels like partially there's spirit watching me being like, okay, we have an idea for you. Are you ready for it? Are you ready for it? Because if you're ready for it, here you go. But you have to show the maturity. You have to show the maturity. It also feels like there's a person watching me in a more like non-business sort of relationship saying, okay, I have an idea. What do you think about this? I also see a position of more business orientation saying, I have this idea. Are you ready? Because that's the question every single time. And it's a very masculine energy, King of Swords. It's a very masculine energy saying, are you ready? Are you ready? Are you really ready for this? Are you ready? Are you ready? And it's very also too, how do I explain this? Because I'm going to speak on just personal perspective related to relevance of your life, how necessary and needed. If this is a masculine energy looking at a more feminine, granted I'm non-binary, but I also am very femme presenting. I also am womb bodied. So very, feminine in the mother, looking at a more feminine energy saying, are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready for this responsibility? Because masculine energy sits in a different responsibility in the world than the feminine energy does. And there's nothing wrong with either of those responsibilities. They're just different responsibilities. It's a very different pathwork sometimes. It's very different responsibilities. Like it's a very different world also that we live in, dependent upon how you identify and also what you were born, how you were born, who you were born as. There's a lot of different ways that could be pronounced, enunciated. What you were born to be is different sometimes than your body. So it's like the relation of those as well, also true. And now who are you and how are you? How do you relate to that? So when it comes to the masculine energy, thank you for that clarity. That's beautiful. When it comes to the masculine energy, it's like the masculine energy is sitting and watching the feminine energy right now. Masculine is sitting, it's like the masculine energy who's done a lot of work to already be in a position. They've earned some kind of power. They've earned some sort of something. Masculine. Could be spirit again, also. Looking at the feminine, because this is if you look at what society has been doing in the previous many years, women have also been earning their individual rights in society of being able to buy things like homes and buy things like cars. And it's like standing on their own as an individual, which is very more traditionally in the previous hundreds of years, more traditionally aspected to manhood. Okay. So there's masculine energy watching feminine energy saying, are you ready for this? Have you learned? Have you learned everything you need about manhood? Interesting. Have you learned everything you need about manhood to be able to stand good? To be able to stand good? Because once this is offered to you, it's like that's why they need to make sure, because it's like a possibility, not a probability. It probably will be for some of you, but for some people, it's like possible. It just depends on where you're at in the journey. And there's nothing wrong with being in the journey where you are. True. No hate, no shade, no shame. Love that. Okay. So if this masculine energy can look at you and say, no, it's clear to me, it's obvious that they have earned these rights. They've earned their, they've earned what it is. Then they'll be able to share it with you. There's commitment, there's leadership. What's the other one? The Chariot. It's like the real thing this time. You've been offered hoaxes. You've been offered hoaxes. The pumpkin carriage. You've been offered pumpkins for a long time. And you're finally, through all of those different experiences, ready for something where it's like an actual real thing. Whatever the real thing is for you, this idea. Hey, I have this idea for you. You're actually ready for the real thing. It's not a pumpkin carriage this time. It's the real carriage. The real carriage is very different. It's an elevation. This is an elevation. You're being elevated out of this level where you've just been offered pumpkin carriages and lies and hoaxes and grossness. Are you ready for that elevation? Are you prepared for the elevation? Are you scared for it? How are you revering that? There's a sacredness to it also. It's very spirit driven is what I hear. It's very spirit oriented. It's very spiritual. This is a very spiritual orientation. Spiritual orientation, the beginning of something. You don't go through orientation unless you're at the beginning. That's curious. Thank you for the words. You don't go through orientation unless you're at the beginning. Spiritual orientation. So when this is, it's like also too, the feminine energy, I want to step back to that because there's rights that the feminine energy, and when I say rights, I mean, when I was talking about the differences between kind of the feminine and masculines in society and how we earn different powers and positions, there's different powers that the feminine earns that don't always have a lot to do directly with what is going on in society and the hierarchies, but they're still very applicable. And there's a lot of things within the masculine that are directly associated with hierarchies in society and positions. Okay. So there's a lot of different ways that can be altered. For now, we're going to leave it there though. Okay. So the masculine energy looking in. Are you ready to begin this? Are you ready to begin this? I have the idea. God gave this to me. I have the idea. Spirit said, yes. Spirit said, here, there's something here. But is it you? Are you the one? Spirit said this to me. Spirit said this to me. Spirit said this to me. Are you? Because probably the masculine has had to face feminine energies who were also pumpkin carriages in a similar analogy, metaphor. And so they've said, I'm done inviting people who are, used to they want the pumpkin or they're used to the pumpkin or whatever, something about the pumpkin that they're attached to. The masculine's done inviting those kinds of people into the real carriage. This is quite, it's serious, but it's kind of funny. It is. Yeah. It's honey is what it feels like. Honey. This could be about money. This could be about partnership. This could be about a leadership position. There's a lot of different aspects of this. That's why I say it feels like this is multiple different things in my life. This is why I share that with you. Like multiple different aspects, multiple different positions, possibilities. Are you ready for the real carriage? Because if it's a real carriage, the Four of Wands is here. If it's a real carriage and it's presented to you, then there's going to be a marriage. It may not necessarily be a marriage in the traditional sense of the word to get married to somebody, but marriage being like, it's a lifelong commitment. Like this is not a leadership. If this is spirit oriented and spirit has told another person to watch you and to see if you're ready, spirit has told, then that's spirit saying, here now is a responsibility. Now this is a spirit calling. This is a spirit path. And one of the things I've learned about spirit paths is if you pick up a spirit path and you start walking in that spirit path, if you ever abandon that spirit path, you abandon everything that spirit path has offered to you. Imagine getting the real chariot. And then you realize how heavy of a weight it is to carry it. And you say, actually, I don't want the chariot. I don't want the responsibility of this. You think they're going to let you go back to a real chariot after you get bumped down to being back with the pumpkin carriages again? I would probably spend the rest of my life by myself if that was the case. So it's a really serious thing. This is really serious. It's very, very serious. For some people, mysterious, especially because if there's a masculine energy sitting around watching you saying, are you the one that spirit gave me this idea for? Are you the one that spirit gave me this identity? A spirit gave me this. I'm going to leave it be at that. No more pumpkin carriages. No more pumpkin carriages. You know what? No more pumpkin carriages. Carriage is expensive. For real though. No more. No more. No more. There's more cards. Just allow me a moment. I can feel it. I just need to sit for that's real intense. I'm grateful for you too. Is it Ananda? I love that. That's good. Some things are worth the fight. I've been thinking a lot about that recently, you know? Yeah, you're so welcome. You know? Oh my goodness. I got back the gifts from the past spiritual path I've been in, but I believe it's supposed to be intense messages coming through. Yeah, it is. And it's not done yet. I can feel it. I can feel it's not done yet, but I just sometimes you gotta put silence on it. Because it's also like, what if somebody else is sitting? This is how I feel about it, because this is what I see for my life. So I'm gonna share this. We might not need the cards. Whatever it is. I know in each one of those situations for me on a personal level, Spirit's given an idea to me too. Spirit said, hey, this is for you. So I know for myself also, even as the feminine energy, even though there's masculine energies right now sitting around watching me saying, are you that? Are you that? Are you sure? Am I sure that you are that? Spirit has me called to certain things too. Spirit has me called to certain things too. Spirit has me called to certain things too. So who are you? Who are you? It's a back and forth. That's what I feel like. Watching, looking, watching, looking, watching. Are you sure? Are you real? Not even realizing, because think about this for a second. It's like on the masculine, so on the feminine side of things, it's like the feminine has been getting into pumpkin carriages, thinking that they're real carriages for a long time, and is tired of getting into pumpkin carriages. But the masculine has a real carriage. The masculine has a real carriage and has been letting in feminines who look like the person that they need, but then they turn into a rat. And that's happened several times. So they're tired of letting people, the masculine is tired of letting people in the carriage. I don't want another rat in the carriage. So imagine that for a second. You think how speculative both people would be. Do you have a real carriage or are you lying to me? Are you going to turn into a rat? I don't know about that. It's like, it's kind of both. It's like, I know who I am, but who are you? I know who I am, but who are you? I know who I am, but who are you? Oh, the stillness. Because that's really true. I know the spirit has me called to certain things too. Spirit has me called to certain things too. And that's for me, in my perspective of these different kinds of situations, of relations and responsibility. One of the things I've noticed, because I'm going to talk about spiritual responsibility for a second, it feels important that I do that. One of the things I've noticed, whether it be friendships, partners, business, sometimes, not all the time. There's one instance in my life where that is not true. And also there are some times where business that is applicable, where, because those were kind of the three that was coming up. Oh, and within spirit. Well, spiritual responsibility, I guess, valid. Okay. So spiritual responsibility, one thing I've noticed about my relationships in my life is that I carry a lot of spiritual responsibility. And for me, it doesn't really, at this point in my life, like, yes, it is a responsibility. Yes, it is work. Yes, sometimes it does feel heavy because that's just what it is. But I'm all right with it. I've accepted it. This is who I am. This is what my life is. And I'm not going back from it. This is where I'm at. And this is where I'm going. And I'm not ever going to get rid of it. And I'm just not going to. It's not something that is negotiable. It's not something like there couldn't be a person who showed up in my life. Maybe it was spirit testing me. I don't know. There couldn't be a person who showed up in my life who wanted that sort of spiritual responsibility, may have been walking in it for a time, but then realized that it was too much, realized that they were not willing to do the work And I'm not willing around those people. Valid. I'm not willing to be around those kinds of people in my personal life. I'm not willing to be around people who are not going to sit in the spiritual responsibilities that spirit has given to them, because that would be dishonoring myself. That would be dishonoring my practice. That would be dishonoring my spirits. That would be dishonoring who I am as a person. And if I dishonor myself, then I dishonor everything else that I do. And I can't do that. So I can't do that. I could, but I can't. I cannot. That is a part of the responsibility. I cannot do it. And so time and time again, I've met people, again, friends, like partnership or more personal relationships, me and spirit, business partnerships, wherever, okay? I've met people where it's like they see, I don't know what it's like to experience me from an outside perspective, so I guess that's valid. But they see whatever they see in me, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I want to be a part of that." "Oh yeah, I want to be a part of that. Oh yeah, I want to be involved in that. Oh yeah." But then they meet me and they realize, like, they get involved in my life and they realize how much work it actually is to be me. There's a lot of people who don't last very long. There's a lot of people who don't last very long here because of that, or have not lasted very long because of that. So for me, because somebody said something about fear, so I'm going to bring that. For me, it's less about fear because I know what I've got. I know I got it handled. I know I'm good. I know I got it and I got it. I'm good. And at the same time, like, I'm tired of bringing people into my life thinking that they're going to be spiritually responsible, turning out that they're carrying a pumpkin. I'm tired of it. I don't want it. I want somebody who can carry the carriage. Oh my goodness. Oh. Yeah. It's also taught me how to, it's interesting. What book is that? Where is that at? I'm reading this book right now. This was also gifted to me by one of my followers on here. Thank you so much. Women Who Run with the Wolves. It's Myths and Stories of the Wild Woman Archetype. And they start off the book with the story of Bluebeard. And it's basically like what happens when the innocent woman is taken advantage of, which is an interesting story to start with because it's the beginning and we're more innocent at the beginning of things. But that's why I feel like I've had to learn kind of like the different archetypes of Bluebeard and the different archetypes of, she also calls it the dark man, basically like the predatory, and how we have to, when we're growing into understanding, how do I explain this? When we're growing into understanding who we are and how we are within a womanhood, within the feminine, that was a big bird. Thank you so much. In the feminine, in the womanhood. Oh my goodness. Spirit, what you got me doing right now? I revere it. Okay. What's really going on? I've been asking that question so many times recently. What are you really cooking up there? What do you really got going on for me? What are you really doing? Because there's a lot of it that I cannot see. There's a lot of it that I cannot be yet. I cannot be it yet, but I cannot see it yet. What do you really got cooking up? What do you really got cooking up, Spirit? What do you really got cooking up for me? Because it's apparently something. It's apparently something. I can smell it from the kitchen. I don't know what it is yet, but it smells good. So thank you. Interesting. Going back to this, the innocents are so talks about like the predatory and how when we meet different predatory as a feminine figure, as a woman. Okay. So from that perspective, meeting the masculine who is more predatory or meeting the masculine who in this book they call the dark masculine. We have to then become aware of our own psyche and our own inner thoughts that are predatory. We have to, because within our societal functions, we are taught as a woman figure to not be predatory. We are taught to not be in that sort of like attackive energy. But when we meet the masculine, which I've experienced this also in feminine people, valid. Okay. So regardless of the gender archetype, when we meet people who are predatory, we then have to become comfortable with the predator that lives internal to us. And a lot of the times we don't know what that predator is. We don't know what that darkness is until it is reflected to us through another person who has some sort of predation. Oh, interesting. Thank you for that connection. Very clear to me. I've been saying that for a while. I started saying it at a very specific period of my life, and I'm grateful for the clarity on returning to that. Interesting. The predation and like the predatory, predation of it. We have to sometimes meet other people in that energy to be able to revere our own kind of like animalistic instinct of predator so that we can, I always call it training the animal. It's like we got to get it trained up. I'm going to get my animal trained up so that it's not going to run loose. It's necessary to do that, at least in my experience. So for me, going back to these people who have not been sitting in their spiritual responsibility, every time I've done that, it's like a different part of myself. I've had to be like, okay, well, maybe I'm not being responsible because I didn't, make them pass the checks and balances, or make them, however, not make them in the sense of forcing them to do something, but just like give it enough time so that they can show their truth. There's a difference between the two of those things. There's a very clear difference between the two of those things. And making somebody do something is actually a predatory thing. So, within the revereness and clearness of that. So it's like I've had to meet all these different. So now I feel like, in reflection to what the reading just brought through, I'm kind of sitting with myself being like, am I actually sitting in the responsibility now? Am I actually doing that now? I feel like I am, but I'm not really sure. Except for that sometimes I know things, like going way full circle back to the beginning. Sometimes I know things. Sometimes I feel like, yeah, I am actually. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how to prove it. I don't think it's something that needs to be proven, but sometimes, yeah, I am. That's real. I am. Yeah, that's real. That's real. So that's really how I feel. A magic seal. Interesting. But yeah, this book is really good. Again, it's called Women Who Run with the Wolves, Myths and Stories of the Wild Woman Archetype. It's by Clarissa Pinkola Estes, PhD. It's pretty good. I saw it in a bookstore and put it on my wish list. I was like, I want to read this. I want to read this. There's some other good books I've been reading recently too, but more on that another time. My stack, they've come off the bookshelf back here and just started to stack here. It is what it is. Interesting. Learning how to protect oneself from the predator. And you know what? That's actually a poem that I wrote called Devil You in Book of Spells 2. The second book of spells I just published in this previous October. One of the things, so interesting. One of the things I wrote in there, it's a poetry book, so it's a poem, but basically the poem states like the devil you, like to be able to tame the devil, you have to understand the devil in you. To be able to avoid the devils out here, you have to understand the devil in here. And you have to somehow keep the devil in here fed. Doesn't matter how it happens. However you do it. It needs to be able to elevate. Well, in my path, let me speak specifically for me. In my path, it's got to be honor, glory, elevation, love, truth free, and gratitude, reverence, and love. That's what I sit in. So for me, it's got to be that. And as I work, if I can keep the devil fed and sit in those energies, then we're good. I've got my shadows where they need to be. They're not going to run away from me. They're not going to run wild. They're not going to be defiled. Okay. They're going to keep, it's going to be clear and keep it in check. My goodness. My goodness. Hello to you. My goodness. Yeah, you gotta keep the devil in here fed, because otherwise it's gonna go out and roam. It's gonna go do stuff it shouldn't be doing. It's gonna go make a mess. It's gonna go make chaos. I don't need that. Listen, I got things to do. We have more important things to do. What do you need then? I love you. Can you chill? Thanks. Like, ridiculous. Oh my goodness. I've got probably about a half hour till I need to get offline. So what else you guys got going on? That's crazy. A real offering? A real carriage? Oh, and this is a real carriage that's not just about a marriage. It's like bigger commitments. You got real carriage? You got real carriage? You got real offering? You got a real offering for me? You're not some person who's telling me lies or illusions? I don't know if I've ever met somebody like that before. Who are you? Who are you? You're not selling me lies? That's how I feel right now. You're not selling me lies? Who are you then? Because I don't know that I've ever met anybody who's got a real carriage. Interesting. Got a real carriage? Well, I'm worth a real carriage, so do we go together now? Is that what it is? Indivisible. You know what? Valid. Oh, 17 to 31. 17's been popping up again for me. That's an interesting combination of numbers that you bring that up. Interesting. Interesting. Huh. That's really how I feel. Are you really real or are you an illusion again? Are you really real or are you an illusion again? Because listen, if you're an illusion, I can handle you, but I haven't ever run into somebody who's that and not an illusion. Is different. I was literally thinking about that, not in the same terms, but I was thinking about that just the other day. Because I've run into so many people who practice illusion magic. Nothing against illusion magic. Listen, very powerful, very strong, also very necessary. Let's clock that. There's a reason and a purpose where it needs to be, as it is. But for now, leave it be. I've walked through enough of it. I'm tired. Don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to. Nope. Don't want to do it anymore. I want the real stuff. Put me in reality. I didn't want reality for a long time because I was trying to escape things. I was trying to get out of abusive situations. I was trying to get out of situations that were harming me. I was trying to get out of a lot of stuff that was not good. So I didn't want to be in reality. So I attracted more illusion magic. Understood. I get it. Got it. Got it. And now looking at my life, I like reality. Put me in reality. I want to be grounded here. Thank you. I love the earth. I love the land. I love my magic. I love food. I love talking to people. I love this. I love it. I love reality now. So yeah. So are you an illusion? Is this real? Are you an illusion? Or is this really interesting? Okay. Hello to you too. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You are you really real? Are you? Are you? Is it you? Are you? Because again, for me, like I said, it's like multiple different areas in my life. Multiple different areas in my life where I'm like, okay, well, are you sure it's real? And I feel like multiple different times in those multiple different areas of my life, spirit has been like, yeah, it's real. Here's proof again. You want more proof? Here's proof again. Thank you for the proof, actually, because I didn't even realize I was asking for it and receiving it. That's cool. I appreciate that. Yeah, you want some proof again? Here's some more. You want another piece of proof? Here, you can have a little bit more proof. What do you need? What do you need to make this real? That's good. Checking in with spirit. That's good. Spirit, what you got with this idea? I'm really interested in this idea. What is this idea? I'll understand it when I need to. That's true. It has to be offered. It has to be offered. It has to be offered. That's also the feeling I get from this is like, and spirit told me that several months ago, 4 months ago. I don't remember when it came into my sphere of things, my sphere of work. I don't remember when this came in, but it was like basically something coming through, it has to be offered to you. So then it got me thinking, I was like, the stuff that we have in life that is really the most valuable, that is really the most worthy, is the stuff that's offered to us. It can't be taken. The stuff that is the most valuable in life, people, experiences, love, relationships, it has to be offered. It can't be taken. If it's taken, it's defiled. It's like you can't have it now. Literally try. It's like in Harry Potter, the Sorcerer's Stone, like the very first one. The trick was that the Sorcerer's Stone could only end up in the pocket of somebody who wasn't going to use it. It has to be offered. You can't take it. Even the intent to take it kept the stone out of those people's hands. It has to be offered. And it has to be offered, and it requires a level of like truth, a level of not just truth, honor, reverence. There's a lot of different words. It requires a level of that, and it requires a level of that within consistency for then it to be offered. Because you have to be, one of the things about spiritual callings that I've learned is that if you can sit at the level of responsibility, if you're already doing the work, think about that. If you're already doing the work of the level of responsibility of whatever it is that is being offered to you, then spirit is like, okay, well, I've got my proof. I don't know if spirit would say it exactly like that, but in a personified way. I've got my proof. They're doing everything they need to do already. So like, let that be then. They can have that. I'll offer that to them. But you have to sit at the level of responsibility, whatever that would be. That's crazy. I wonder. I do. I wonder. I know what one of them is for me. I know what two of them are for me. I know what the one from spirit is, except I don't know what it is. Because it hasn't been offered to me yet. We can look and say, I'm pretty sure, but it hasn't been offered yet. So let me sit and work and be patient. That's also true. Has to be offered. Interesting. Huh. Hmm. I think I'm gonna get off now. I've got to go get ready to go train. So I'm gonna do that. I'm also gonna sit and digest this a little bit. That was a lot of information for my sweet little brain. That was a lot of information. Oh my goodness. I'm on this ride for sure. I can feel it. So good. Oh goodness. Thanks everybody. The podcast for this week is up. So if you're wondering about it or curious about it or you want to go check it out, it's up. The information's there. We got some crazy stuff going on this week. I went over it earlier in the live stream a little bit, but we got some crazy stuff going on. So if you want more information, I don't know what this is. I just feel like it's necessary. So here we are. Yeah, if you sometimes I look at myself from like a slightly external perspective and I'm like, oh yeah, she's crazy. So anyways, yeah, that's up. Anything else? Updates? If you're on TikTok, go follow me on other platforms. Shout out. And everything else, come the end of January, we'll have more time together on YouTube. If TikTok's still around, then there too. But that is what it is. 2 hours went by so fast. Honestly, what is time? Honestly. Understood. Well, I will see you guys later. Love ya. Have a great day. Bye.